All right, we are live. Welcome, YouTube, to Geekery Abides. Almost said the wrong thing there. Geekery Abides, episode 65, where we are going to be talking. Main topic, of course, is Fantastic Four First Steps, which just came out last weekend.
Yep.
So we're in week 2 of it. Both this month's our episodes are off just a week from when, which just works out, I guess. It doesn't have to be the couple days after it came out. But
more people have had a chance to see it, hopefully.
Yeah, indeed. But let's go ahead and hit the intro and get started.
He who is ashamed of his geekery has forgotten the face of Stan Lee.
You the proud, the geeky.
This is the podcast, Geekery Abides.
Hello and welcome to Geekery Abides, episode 65. Okay, hold on one second. I just, there we go. Not even the slide that was up, but the next one, like my camera one was hidden, so it just was,
You would have been gone?
yes.
Oh, no.
That would have been terrible.
Terrible.
Yeah, imagine the show without my innocent
My foot.
fandom and, loving all things wholesome and good.
Get out of here with that.
Welcome to episode 65. We are talking Fantastic Four on the main topic. Of course, we will do as we normally do and go through the intro stuff. First of all, of course, if you want to help out the show, if you could like, subscribe, ring the bell for notifications here on the YouTube side. On the podcast side, subscribe, rate, and review on any of the services of your choice. All those things help out the podcast for sure. And then next up, if you want to email the show and be part of the show, there is a couple of ways to do that. The first one is emailing Peter at geekeryabides.com or Tadd, T-A-D-D, at geekeryabides.com. We alternate on these. I guess technically this is my episode, right?
Yep.
So
I got Superman. You got Fantastic Four.
yeah, I mean, these ones were like not even really picked, right?
I don't think this is exactly like a Tad show. This is a...
Yeah, just like the last one, like I feel like we talked at the beginning of the year where it was like, oh man, like do we need to swap episodes, like for whatever, but of course you were still going to pick Superman. So, yeah, I'm just making sure that nothing's coming in the I mean, ultimately the timeline usually for me is the day before. If you don't have an email in by the time like the previous day ends, I probably won't get to it, but I decided to check just in case.
Yeah.
Those are the ways to contact the show. This is my episode. Peter does the even episodes. We alternate back and forth, so that's a way to contact the show and be part of it if you're not with us joining us live in the live chat. So let's go ahead and jump on over to watching, reading, playing. Man, mine's been pretty sparse this last little bit.
Mine is pretty low as well.
So go ahead. Go ahead and have you start.
Watching, I watched Fantastic Four. I watched the documentary on Netflix, WWE Unreal. Finished that this morning, the 5th episode. There's only 5 episodes, so...
Oh, okay.
And then I've been watching Buffy the Vampire Slayer. Reading, I've been reading The Stand, listening to a couple podcasts, mostly just music.
Yeah.
And then I've been playing 7 Days to Die, and that is it. That's it for me. I am not branching out right now. I am having a pretty quiet July.
Yeah, it's been pretty quiet for me too, for the most part. I've watched some stuff, so I decided to watch Peacemaker as a response to Superman, and it sounds like season 2 is going to be the next stage after Superman. After Superman, the Peacemaker season 2 is the next big thing. There's been a lot of speculation that Superman might even show up in it. So I'm like, well, if that's the case, then I better watch the first season. So
Yeah.
I binged through that I think all of it last weekend. I have also still been nipping away at South Park, watching those. Good, fun stuff there. I also decided to go see I Know What You Did Last Summer and Eddington. I did a double header. Went and saw I Know What You Did Last Summer, and then I had like 20 minutes between that and my showtime for Eddington, the new Ari Aster film. Enjoyed both quite a bit. I Know What You Did Last Summer is a pretty good legacy sequel. My only complaint is not enough hook action. So, and I'm kind of almost happy I saw it without Hayden, because I would have been disappointed with so little hook being used with a killer with a hook.
Yeah.
So, Eddington was great. It was really incredible. And I also have seen Fantastic Four twice. So I went and saw it opening night, and I went and saw it again Thursday night this a couple days ago. So then I am reading The Stand as well. It is my annual reread, as well as we are doing our Patreon stuff for the other show. So even if it weren't my annual time to do it, this would definitely be probably what I was reading, which it's Randall Flagg. How can we not love reading it, right?
Gross.
And then all I've been playing is Spider-Man 2. Haven't had much time, but I have, whenever I have an extra 20, 30 minutes to do whatever. It's
Go
great.
fight some crime.
It's a great way it's a great game to just pop into, because you literally can play it for a couple hours at a time, or you could play it for 20 minutes. Like
Yeah.
it's a very versatile game in that way. Unlike sports games and shit where it's like, might take you 40 minutes to play a game of a full game of like a sport or whatever. So that's all I've had going. So
Not a lot. Carol says in the chat, "Hey guys, I haven't watched this one yet." Talking about Fantastic Four. Grandson is coming to visit me next week in Hawaii, so we are going to see this together. We'll watch this later. Have a great show.
awesome.
Thanks, Carol.
Yeah, thanks, Carol.
Hope you like it.
Yeah, indeed. All right. So, first up, sad news, unfortunately. I feel like we've had a lot of these recently. And yeah, this one is Hulk Hogan passed away. So, wrestling legend. I'd like to say actor as well, but I think that's a stretch to go into that realm. So, I was pretty heavily watching wrestling back in the late 90s when he played a villain, which of course meant I loved him.
Of course you did.
Yeah, it was great stuff. So he's one of my all-time favorites. So definitely sad to see. Although what was he into his 70s? So for
71
for professional wrestling, that's not too bad of a lifespan, especially because he also lived in the older days when things were a lot tougher. They also weren't too great on their bodies with steroids and stuff. So that certainly takes years off of life as well. So definitely.
Good night, sweet prince.
Yeah.
You have anything to add?
I still watch wrestling, so I saw the tributes to him and everything like that. I even text you that one of his friends from the other company was there and everything. So seeing that he just went suddenly, like there was no warning for this one. It was just randomly one day at work, just like, oh my God, he's gone.
Yeah.
So that one caught me off guard so bad. And then, of course, also earlier the week, just a couple days before, we lost Ozzy Osbourne. So
yeah.
74 for Ozzy Osbourne. It just like,
Yeah,
wait. I think I text you. I'm like, dude, someone better go check on every actor and actress in their 70s right now, because we have a musician, we have a wrestler. If we're going to lose an actor or an actress, oh God.
I saw a comedian that was like 3 for Ozzy Osbourne. I guess do we not mention? I guess I didn't mention that one.
No, we
here
didn't
either.
mention Ozzy. I got it.
Ultimately, we're not very musically inclined with this show. Not to say that people can't geek out. Hayden always does with his watching, reading, playing. For him, listening is included as well. But ultimately, Ozzy passed away too. But I saw a comedian that was like, Ozzy 73. It's like the life he lived. That is a ripe old age.
I cannot believe that Ozzy made it into his 70s, honestly.
I mean, I'm surprised he made it to 50, the way he lived back in the day. So, like one of my favorite...
Oh my gosh, he was 76.
One of my favorite stories of his is like when he decided he wasn't going to do acid anymore.
Yeah.
Because he was having an argument with someone, and then like when he started to come down off it, he realized he was talking to a horse. It was a police horse on the streets of like London or whatever.
He was 76 years old.
Yeah, and he also had like Parkinson's.
Yes, Parkinson's.
Yeah, so it's been an unfortunate time for Gen Xers especially. So. Carol also says, jumping back in to say, watching anime, reading Red Rising series, and playing not much. Thanks again. Thanks, Carol.
Thank you, Carol.
That is that. Let's jump on over to the news. Other than the sad news, the first one, Amazon has nabbed their writer for their first Bond film.
Okay.
So Stephen Knight, who is the creator and lead writer of Peaky Blinders, has been signed to write.
A lot of people
Bond
like 26. Peaky Blinders.
I think I was like looking it up just to see like whatever, just to verify that he was the creator or something.
Yeah.
And I think it had like a 8.6 on IMDb, which is considerably good ratings.
That is
so.
a very good rating.
Yeah, I know. Cillian Murphy is a starring role in that.
Yes.
So, so that is our writer for Bond 26. We've been following some of the Bond stuff as it's all happened over the last 6-8 months. So yeah, kind of interesting. We'll have to see what happens here. That's a lot of stress on that dude, because that's
no pressure.
You're not only launching a new, because like imagine if this had all happened while you still were mid actor,
Like you
but,
still had Daniel Craig for 1 or 2 more.
yeah,
films.
but like no, you're having to launch the new actor, which is already a fucking stressor, a whole new era, and then on top of that, now the Broccoli's are exiting. You're now going to make the first non-Broccoli
you
Bond
have to answer
film.
to one of the biggest companies on the planet.
Yeah,
you
just
know? Like,
everything about this. Like I couldn't imagine. I get a pit in my stomach thinking about what that must feel like to be
that
in
man
this
is
position.
going to need treatment for ulcers, probably.
Yeah, but also Peaky Blinders is a British show too. So
Yeah.
just to point out the fact that this is a Brit. So I would assume that Bond means more to Brits than he does to Americans.
Yes.
Not to say he's not important to Americans, but I think that's probably a good indicator, as well as
Yeah.
Peaky Blinders quality.
It's good to get a countryman on board.
Yeah.
for
I mean,
it.
Cubby Broccoli used to not hire people because they weren't British.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
He had he's the one that started that whole thing. J.K. Rowling was like that with the Harry Potter.
Yeah,
films,
I
so.
want to say, because there was 2 things with Steven Spielberg. One, he wasn't experienced enough. It was right before Jaws came out. So he had done some stuff, but not enough to like, or maybe Jaws had come out, but it wasn't enough yet for him to be like, okay, this, like, you don't know if it's a one-hit wonder or whatever. But the other part of it is he's not English as well. Like, if he had been English and only been where he was at, like, maybe Cubby could have swung it.
Right.
But with both, he was just like, nah, not doing that. So, which is fine, because that's how we got Indiana Jones.
That is.
So,
American version
kind
of
of
Bond.
like in the last episode, the last podcast, our Dark Tower show, we were talking about how the Duffer Brothers being told no on it is why they went and made Stranger Things.
Yeah.
So I always love that, because sometimes somebody being told no on something that's really important to them could end up being a whole new thing.
There's a bunch of those in Hollywood where it's like, no, we don't want you making this, and then they go make that.
I mean, Lucas, like he was trying to, he wanted to get the rights for Flash Gordon.
Yeah.
And he was told no.
and
like,
then we got Star Wars.
Star Wars. So yeah. So no's are not always a bad thing. There's probably some philosophical thing in there somewhere.
If only someone would tell Flanagan no, so he'd go make the Dark Tower.
No, you can't make The Exorcist. No, you can't make Carrie for an 8th time.
Yeah. Yeah.
Go make the Dark Tower. Get out of here.
Same time, I'm very torn on this. I'm very two-faced with this, because I want a Flanagan Dark Terror series, but Flanagan doing The Exorcist, dude, that is fucking incredible.
It is intriguing.
And then Flanagan doing King, like, I'm never gonna say no to that.
No,
Like, it's just
no.
because he's gonna nail it. So next up, we've got jumping over to the DC side, we got some Superman reviews from some notable people. So first off, David Goyer, who was the co-writer for the Dark Knight trilogy, and he wrote Man of Steel. So kind of
Oh, really?
notable
I didn't know that
person.
he wrote all that.
Yeah.
I didn't know that was the same guy. Okay.
Yeah, so he starts off says, quote, "I really liked it. People always assume that because I did The Dark Knight, I wouldn't like the Batman, but I really enjoyed it as well. Each generation gets the Superman they need. I feel like the pendulum. I feel like the pendulum with Man of Steel. Obviously, that was much darker, grounded version, and we're in a very different place. And I love that the tagline is "Kindness is punk rock." He goes on and says, I think David Cornsweet is incredibly appealing. I never would have thought to use Crypto, and Crypto was delightful. And then I think the guy that stole the show is Mr. Terrific, who Geoff Johns and I basically turned into a real character in the Justice Society. So he's one of the people that helped create, apparently,
Yeah.
the
awesome.
character. So that's kind of cool. So I was thrilled. I thought Mr. Terrific was awesome. Metamorpho, same. I love seeing live action Metamorpho, and all those are kind of things that James can get away with. God bless him, because I love all those weird, quirky, tertiary DC characters. I really enjoyed it, and I was rooting for it, and I'm so happy it's been successful. So definitely cool to hear. Yeah. And then next up, we got Brandon Routh.
Another Superman.
Another Superman, so royalty in my mind.
Yeah.
Also one of my favorite Supermen too. Like, and he kind of got a. When everyone talks about like Henry Cavill getting the shaft, I'm like, come on, guys. Routh got the shaft hardcore. Like, if not for the CW TV shows, he never would have played Superman more than the one time. So
Right.
He said, quote, it was a lot of fun. I really enjoyed it. I think David is fantastic. I cried no less than 3 times. I see this in a different way. I came at it from a different perspective. I really got into it as I'm watching him navigate those tricky Superman moments in the first conversation with Lois and Clark in the apartment, and then all of the family stuff for me really hit. It's a big movie. There's a lot in there. I have to go see it again. I'm really excited for the potential for the DC universe. A successful launch with this is just good for everybody who wants more of what DC has to offer. There's a lot of great properties that can be explored, and I would say he's also kind of a big hitter for DC because he also played. God, who was he? He was
Atomic Man,
Is that who it was in
where
the?
he can shrink like he's an Ant-Man,
like kind of
basically.
Ant-Man version.
Adam, wasn't it?
I don't remember because he was primarily in that, and then when they did the Crisis on Earth, they let him play the is it Kingdom Come Superman, I think, where Lois has been killed by the Joker and stuff. So yeah, like he ultimately was able to do like a one-off hit of Superman again, a different version of Superman, but he was playing Atom Man,
I'm looking it up right
Atomic
now.
Man. Brandon Routh, DC. He did a killer job in that. And it was
Adam. It's just ATOM. Adam.
just Adam. Okay, yeah.
That's how it's listed anyway. I should say.
That's probably right. So yes, ultimately I feel like he's very plugged into DC more so than just being like one of our cinematic Superman.
That is what the character's name is. It's just Adam.
Makes sense.
So
Next up we got Edie Gathelgi confirms more Mr. Terrific. So this is the actor that played Mr. Terrific.
excellent.
Quote, I know that I have multiple project deal, but the specifics of that are unknown to me. What James is driving home is the idea that they're never going to rush into production with scripts that aren't ready. So even whatever they do have planned for my character is irrelevant until drafts come in and they're shootable. So I don't count my chickens before they hatch. I want to be involved in this universe in a major way, and whether or not that comes to fruition is just a matter of time and faith with other people's hard work. Further, he talked about the post-credit scene. Quote, that was originally in the movie. I wasn't there for the decision making, but to me it's exciting because that's a promise. I don't know if it's a promise that DC is intending to make, but to have that moment at the very end of the movie for me personally is a full circle moment after being unceremoniously killed right before the big battle in X-Men First Class. So to be the last man standing is pretty cool.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's cool, and I think it's pretty universal that he's kind of the MVP of the movie. I mean, there's a lot of great elements in the movie, but I feel like he really stole the show in a lot. So I think that a lot of people are going to be looking forward to his future in the DCU with great interest. Next up, we got a rumor that the Jimmy Olsen series is going to, which they've already pretty much said it's going to happen. The other spin-off to the Superman movie is a Jimmy Olsen series. The rumor, according to reliable leaker Jeff Snyder, quote, it's going to introduce some major villains, and quote, one of those villains will be none other than Gorilla Grodd.
That's pretty cool.
That's a big one.
That is pretty cool.
That's great. So that's cool. Can't wait because I love Jimmy too. It was definitely a whole new take on Jimmy than we've ever seen before. If they're going to use him to just kind of like explore as a reporter, and we're going to see maybe some villains revealed that will set the stage for the larger DCU. Next up, Gunn teases a Superman follow-up. On Threads, Gunn was asked what he was working on. He said Peacemaker Press and sequel writing.
Ooh.
So that's titillating.
Superman sequel.
A fan responded, when are you going to tease the sequel? To which Gunn answered, I just did. Gunn in a different...
Gunn doesn't hold back. I fucking love it.
Yeah. Gunn, in a different setting, was asked about Superman 2 and said he is working on a script in which Superman would have a big role, but it was not a direct Superman sequel.
Okay.
So that's very intriguing. He later clarified, this is the same movie. Superman has a major role, but it is not Superman 2.
Okay.
So, very intrigued what that might be.
Batman Brave and the Bold?
I mean, I know he's probably going to show up in Supergirl next year, but he wouldn't be writing that script. That script's solidified, right?
They're filming.
So whatever he's writing now...
Are they filming Supergirl?
I think if they're not filming, it's very soon. For some reason, late June was in my head, or late June, or I don't know. I think they are filming. If not, it's going to be filming very soon. So, but I do think they are filming. Well, actually, no, they probably are because that's probably how they got Hallie Alcock to film her scene, as they were probably that was probably early in production for her thing. Would be my guess. So, next up, we've got James Gunn reveals a much darker Superman scene than we got in the film.
Okay.
Quote, there's a really dark thing in there. There was a really dark thing. Once I saw the movie, I'm like, this is too dark. So Lex shooting the guy in the head. He says that was always done in this extreme wide shot, so it's not too graphic. But the guy fell on the ground, and the blood is pouring out on the platform. Lex then looked down and sees the blood that is about to get on his shoes. At this point, Luthor would have Gurkos get on the ground and soak up the dude's blood before it seeped onto his shoes. This is the president of that thing. And Gurkos would have said, "What? No." And then Nick would have looked at him, and his delivery is great because he looks at him straight and says, "No." And then Gurko sheepishly, sadly trudges down, lays on his back, and then Burko, which I think is the actor, he is so funny. He lays down on his back and starts to soak up the blood. And then Nick looks over at Superman and says, "I'll see you tomorrow."
Damn. Holy shit. James Gunn is unhinged. I swear. Wow.
He really is. But it never even made it to test screenings because a legend, Drew Goddard, actually saw the film and saw an early cut.
Okay.
Drew Goddard, of course, famous for Daredevil.
Yep.
He knows a thing or two about Brutal. He also did Cabin in the Woods, etc. He's a legendary dude. He actually told him to trim it down. Quote, James Gunn says, quote, Drew Goddard was really helpful. I think that there were a couple of little things in the movie, 3 or 4 things that we argued about in the film, and all of them had to do with things that were a little bit darker and a little bit or a little bit lighter. In discussing one of them, Drew Goddard said, was like, you know what? It's just not that film. It's just not that film. And with that, and with a little dark, and with this little dark bit ending, that was one of the things he pointed out. And I thought he's right. This isn't that film. It's just not that film. And so that line that he's so that's a line that stuck with me as I ended up editing the rest of the movie was that, you know, like basically trying to understand like what the film is. Like that was kind of like the resounding thing that stuck with him. So it's just kind of interesting to me because Drew has obviously done some of the most violent comic book things we've ever seen in Daredevil.
Daredevil has a lot of violence.
For him to be like,
but he understands the
Context.
story and the context of Superman to understand that, hey, this is not the place. This is not where we need that violence now.
yeah, later.
Clayface.
Yeah, Clayface or even fucking Peacemaker. It's got some violent ass
Peacemaker
shit.
is pretty brutal.
Yeah. Speaking of Peacemaker, James Gunn says Eagly is better than Crypto.
Okay. Let's hear it.
At San Diego Comic-Con, Gunn and Cena were asked who was the better pet. So I did fudge that headline a little bit there.
Okay.
And both answered Eagly without hesitation. And like honestly, is there any doubt that that's the truth when it comes to which is the better pet?
I mean, they made Crypto a menace on purpose, right? Like that was the whole point.
He would not be
right?
a good pet. And I mean, you or I would be destroyed and killed by Crypto. So,
True.
You know, whereas Eagly, you know, he might leave some marks on you, but he's not going to permanently damage you.
As long as he doesn't go for the eyes.
I love Eagly, by the way.
Yeah.
I really do.
Did you?
Yeah, he was
Okay.
great. Next up, and this is some let's see, did I skip one? Nope, that's it. Okay, does Hayden have a bigger role in Ahsoka season 2 than we're all thinking? Hayden Christensen.
Okay.
So, this is all some internet sleuthing here. The internet's putting a bunch of things together. So, this is more of an interesting, more internet sleuthing, but Hayden Christensen has been canceling a lot of major con events recently throughout this year. He canceled his appearance at Manchester Comic Con, which took place July 26th and 27th.
Okay.
And they were told, I'm filming Ahsoka. I can't make it to this convention. So that was last weekend, right? So that's your context. July 26th, 27th. Last weekend. Couldn't do it. Filming Ahsoka.
Too busy.
We know they're filming Ahsoka right now. It makes sense.
Too busy.
Now, here's where it got interesting. SpaceCon in San Antonio posted, we had attempted to have Hayden Christensen return to appear with the Emperor Ian McDiarmid, but Hayden is still filming the next season of Ahsoka and is unable to commit. The thing about that event is that takes place in late October. Pray tell.
August, September, October.
Pray tell, if Hayden Christensen were in an episode like last season, is that more than a week or 2 of filming?
I mean, maybe 3.
Maybe 3?
3
3 months?
Depending on what we're doing with that scene and everything. He has to get in and out of the Darth Vader suit.
That's true. That's true.
So that might be a few weeks.
Yeah.
A few weeks.
3 months, though?
3 months.
And late October. We're talking like October 26th, 28th, somewhere in that realm. It's almost Halloween that convention was.
July 26th is what you said, so
Yeah.
that would be 3 months.
Yeah. So that's the internet it's making the internet kind of scratch the chins a
okay.
little bit and go, could Hayden be a much more significant role in Ahsoka
let's
season
do some
2?
devil's advocate here, Ted. He's on set.
Hayden just doesn't want to go.
He's filming.
He just doesn't want to go to conventions right now.
Where's that second convention?
San Antonio.
I mean, it's Texas, so he may not like Texas. That could be it.
It's
But
October, though.
But it is saying go back to Texas, so it's not like he hasn't been there before. Okay, so let's throw that out. Let's look at this. Let's Batman this. Let's World's Greatest Detective this. All right. Maybe he does film for 4 weeks. Maybe he wants a vacation afterwards. Maybe he
Could be.
recognizes that I'm coming off of this grueling filming schedule. Maybe it is a little bit more involved.
Yeah.
Where maybe we have some action with Hayden, where he does some stunt work and stuff like that. That is the one thing that could make it a longer shoot.
What
What
we've
if he is,
all been saying, man.
what if-
Clone Wars era.
Armor and everything,
Armor, Obi-Wan, Ahsoka,
and a fight,
Anakin.
and like a battle, like a full Battle of the Bastards battle that takes like you 2 minutes into the episode to the last 10 seconds of the episode.
yeah.
Give me that. If we're doing that, then all of a sudden we're looking at a little bit longer film schedule.
Yeah.
But it might still just be one episode, sir.
It might be.
It might not be more
3
than
months
that.
is a lot. That's like
But again, if you come off of a month and a half of shooting, maybe you're not going to be up for going to a con.
But then I don't think you lie and say you're filming Ahsoka though. He told both conventions that he's filming.
Did he say that, or is that what they said? They didn't quote him. They just said Hayden will still be filming Ahsoka.
Yeah, which I'm assuming that comes from him. They're not just gonna invent that.
I mean,
so
people invent things all the time.
they could just. I mean, we see it all the time here. I always
So.
joke about the local convention where it's like
Yeah.
they spend months telling you all these ones, and then like the last 3 weeks, they spend just like nixing a third of them. Where it's like, oh, never mind, they're not coming. They never tell. I mean, sometimes they'll say like, hey, something came up with their schedule, but sometimes they're just like, oh, they can't make it, unfortunately.
Yeah.
Like, so I don't know. Like I said, this is just internet sleuthing.
It is.
But it is very
Again, I'm playing devil's advocate here. I think you're onto something. I think the internet's onto something because
And what if he's like a Force Ghost even? But what if he's like significantly in it as a Force Ghost and like he's on the kind of the shoulder, quote unquote, of Ahsoka throughout a good chunk of this season, right? Like it doesn't have to be. I mean, maybe I'm still holding my breath for a flashback because give me Hayden and Ewan and Rosario, or not a Rosario. It'd be what's her name from Endgame that played Baby Gamora.
Yeah.
Have those three in a full battle, like just show me the Clone Wars even for 10 minutes in live action. It would just be a huge payoff. But beyond that, though, if it then turns into a thing where he's kind of the ghost behind Ahsoka that's like maybe even helping guide her in some way.
Yeah.
You know, like that could be a thing where it's like, yeah, I've got to film. You know, I've got 30 scenes over the course of multiple episodes, and I'm playing a Force Ghost. So I don't know,
Yeah.
Pure speculation, but it is very chin scratching that
I
a
think
3 month gap between two conventions, and you both get canceled because I'm sorry, I'm filming Ahsoka. The other part is primarily Star Wars films a lot in England. So the Manchester one last weekend, he would have been in town for that. Like that's not that far removed from where he's.
No, but he was busy for that one.
No,
so
I
it's
know.
just a matter
I'm
of-
just saying that, like, yeah, it's just very, very interesting indeed. So speaking
Maybe
of,
there's something keeping him in England that. Yeah, I'm filming Ahsoka. Shh. Disney
Yeah.
says, because Disney.
dude, what if they gave us a glimpse of that Ahsoka and Vader duel in live action? Oh, which think about the timing you would
You
need
talking
for
about the Rebels duel?
Yeah.
Oof.
You don't have to give me the whole duel. I mean, or if you did, I'm not going to say no. But there, suddenly, that could potentially be 3 months of work. Like
I
full
was saying,
choreography
like,
and
that's what I was saying. Like
Yeah.
a battle scene,
but a
fight scene.
lightsaber duel,
Yeah.
especially like versus like if you're just fighting droids, like that's one thing. But doing a duel, we understand that like Hayden and Anakin for that Revenge of the Sith one, they spent months and months and months just
Are they-
choreographing that.
Are they actually making a Maul series? Is it animated or is it live action?
Animated?
It is animated.
Yeah, because
Maybe he's doing some voice work.
could be.
Maul is
Yeah, it could be. So another interesting and fun Ahsoka thing. We got our first look at Ezra Bridger in season 2.
okay. Waiting for it.
Wait for it to update there.
Oh, it wasn't going. Oh, okay. There we go.
Fully shaved, no longer going with the Jesus look.
There we go.
Dude, this is dead perfect for me.
Dude, it looks exactly like Ezra.
He's got the smile, the swagger,
The smirk,
everything
yeah.
about this is fucking Ezra Bridger, man.
It looks great.
This is released by StarWars.com, so this isn't like an obviously it's official. This doesn't look like someone on the set snapping a picture. This is certainly something they wanted to release.
This is
So,
professional.
yeah, pretty cool. Very excited to see more of Ezra in season 2.
Yeah.
Next, he and Chopper. Got to get some he and Chopper scenes.
Yeah.
I did love that Chopper was the first one to suss out that he was Ezra.
Yeah.
When the Stormtrooper got off the ship. Next up, we got some big news. New Hope is returning to theaters in April 2027.
I can't wait.
So April 2027, in celebration of the 50th anniversary of not only the film, but also of the entire Star Wars saga. The actual anniversary date is real Star Wars Day, which is May 25th of 2027. But Star Wars Starfighter is coming out that weekend.
Hey.
So-
Star Wars be had.
Yeah, so instead they've moved A New Hope up a little bit to April.
Yeah.
So that's when we're
They
going to
did that with Revenge of the Sith too, didn't they? That
Yeah.
was in April.
Yeah, don't
Last year?
I think it was
This
a
year?
Marvel movie that it was stepping on though, not
Thunderbolts.
Yeah,
Yeah.
not a Star Wars thing, but still, it's very cool
Disney,
that on
yeah.
the 50th anniversary of Star Wars as a saga, we're going to be getting a new Star Wars film. That's pretty damn cool. So, yeah, and then next up, we've got Mark Hamill saying he almost retired acting in live action until Mike Flanagan called him.
Oh, thank God.
So at San Diego Comic-Con, Mark said, I didn't expect to be this busy this stage of my career. I thought this stage of my career I'd be spending more time with metal detector wand around the beach, playing with the dogs in the backyard. I said to my agent, you know what? I'm not motivated anymore. This was in 2019. He said, I think I'm going to retire and just do voiceover work. The people who objected were my agent and my wife, because it's very good to have me out of the house. He says, I have to say thank you to Mike Flanagan. That would have been a routine. That would have been a routine character for a voiceover, but not so much playing it live action, playing an amoral, psychopathic, sociopathic lawyer that is just pure evil. So I really have to thank Mike Flanagan because he got me outside of the box.
Yeah.
About the Fall of the House
Fall
of
of
Usher.
House of Usher, which he was phenomenal in.
He was indeed. And then he
That's
was in
something that we
Life
haven't
of
talked
Chuck
about
too.
yet. We
Yeah.
haven't talked about Fall of House of Usher, have we?
We haven't delved into anything except for Hill House in Flanagan's universe. So, indeed. Next up, we've got some fascinating stuff about Alien Earth, which is about to premiere pretty soon.
Yeah.
So the first episode was screened at San Diego Comic-Con, and the reviews on it are very positive. It was being praised for jumping right in, being equal parts horror and action. So feels very much in the genre of both the original two films.
Fits, yeah.
And with a very solid story. Separately, according to that, separate from this, there's a report that FX wants this to be a prestige level hit on par with Game of Thrones or The Last of Us. According to Variety, they want this show to be sweeping, character-driven drama that expands the franchise into new territories. Also, it's rumored to have cost more than $250 million for the first season. So that would be the
Damn.
most expensive project that FX has ever done, surpassing Shogun by a little bit. So I've been so-so on this show, but I am now sold. I am
You're in?
very excited for this. I'm just intrigued because this is supposed to take place before a lot of the stuff that we've seen in the movies.
Yeah.
So I don't understand how aliens are going to land on Earth and that, because like so much of the series is about not letting them get to Earth. So how are
Right.
we now going beforehand and they're getting to Earth? So I don't know. I'm here for
Trust,
it though.
trust the system.
Yeah, indeed. Next up is a fun one. Ari Aster on his Eddington press release revealed that he was offered a Marvel movie.
Really?
He says, yeah, he turned it down. It turned out it was Mobius, he said. And then he was corrected that it's Morbius. So it sounds like Sony was trying to get Ari Aster to direct Morbius.
And he turned it down for a reason.
But I'm going to say, the one way I ever would have watched that movie is if Ari fucking Aster was directing it.
I could have done it, yeah.
Oh, man. Next up, we've got a confirmation now, officially, that the Hulk and Scorpion are confirmed for Spider-Man Brand New Day.
Oh, okay.
So it has been officially confirmed that Mark Ruffalo's Hulk and Michael Mando's Scorpion will both appear in Brand New Day.
Okay.
So very exciting. I've been waiting for Scorpion to show back up for a long time.
Yeah, he was in the first Spider-Man, right?
Yeah, in the post-credit scene as well, where you saw him like in the prison or whatever.
Because he's the one that talks to Vulture, right? Like, I
yeah.
got some friends that want to meet him.
Yeah. Also, Kevin Feige has confirmed 100% this is a street-level film. So all the
Good.
back and forth about this being potentially cosmic, multiverse, whatever, versus street level, it is street level.
Good.
I'm glad that came out around now, too, because I think the Hulk thing would have made people think the opposite.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, that's pretty cool. And then we got some more Marvel stuff to cover before we jump on over into the main topic, which of course is Fantastic Four.
Which is
I
more
also
Marvel.
divided up. There's some Fantastic Four related stuff that I'm keeping for the main topic.
Okay.
This is all the non-related stuff news wise. Next up, Feige on the post Secret Wars MCU. Quote, we're utilizing Secret Wars not just to round out the stories that we've been telling post-Endgame, but just as importantly, you can look at the Secret Wars comics for where that takes you. It's very, very much setting us up for the future. Endgame literally was about endings. Secret Wars is about beginnings.
Okay.
So, like, yeah. He says reboot is a scary word. Reboot can mean a lot of things to a lot of people. Reset, singular timeline. We're thinking along those lines. So...
Okay.
yeah, that makes sense. On recasting roles like Tony Stark and Steve Rogers, he said, quote, I think it's really hard for anybody to do that when an actor has done such a great role. Like, how are they ever going to replace Sean Connery as James Bond, right?
Yeah.
That's what he said.
Yeah.
I'm like,
Oh, wait,
I'm
they
like,
did.
I'm like, Kevin, you magnificent bastard.
Yeah.
I've been saying it for years. Like, these characters are all too important and too big to be pinned down to one character. It's good, but it also sucks, though, that we've had such iconic turns with some of these characters where it's, like, so iconic that it's like, how is someone going to step into the Steve Rogers role now after Evans? Or, I mean, certainly Robert Downey Jr., but calling out Sean Connery for Bond like that, Kevin, good, well played. Well played.
He makes a point.
Next up, Feige says no Miles Morales anytime soon in the MCU.
Yeah, that one I did. I heard about this one, and I heard about why.
So he was asked about the status of a Miles Morales movie, and he said that is nowhere. So he says Sony has their brilliant, genius, incredible Spider-Verse animated franchise going right now, and until that finishes out, we've been told to stay away, which honestly, totally understandable.
Yeah.
Like I get it. Like, right, that's the one thing that Sony has not shit the bed on.
Yep.
So I get that they would say no, you're not doing that. So
Yeah, and that third movie is scheduled to come out 2027. It's been postponed because the main actor was Bell End, wasn't he? Wasn't he being kind of weird?
No, it's the whole creative process. It's yeah, there's a lot going on there. So, next up we've got Alan Cumming with some spoilers. So he was asked about so Alan Cummings plays the amazing Nightcrawler. He was being interviewed by BuzzFeed UK. Oops, I just screwed something up there. And said, quote, I'm sort of learning these fights, and I'm like, what? Who am I fighting with? And they're like, you're hitting Pedro Pascal in the head.
Whoops.
So, yep, Amazing Nightcrawler versus Reed Richards is
Okay.
going to happen at one point. Now, that doesn't really mean anything, but it is kind of cool to kind of have a confirmation of something that's going to happen. So, it's just funny to me because it's just so, like, real world, right? Like, he's not used to this at this level, so he's never been brought back before. He had the one go in X-Men, so, like, you know, for him, he's never had to deal with, like, the secrecy and shit,
Yeah,
right?
he wasn't
Like,
even in the X-Men 3, was he? He was in X-Men 2.
no, he was a one hit wonder.
Yeah.
So and then he was replaced in the younger films with a different actor. So next up we've got a rumor on MCU's priorities post Secret Wars. According to Variety, Marvel is possibly now accepting what I've been saying for a while now, that we're never going to get back to pre-pandemic box office results again, at least not regularly. So as part of that, the productions are probably going to slow down a little bit, which I think that kind of goes into the Iger thing as well, where they're going to limit what they're going to do. But also as in prioritizing things that are going to cost less to make. So as such, the brain trust of Marvel has no sense of urgency on things like Blade or Deadpool 4, for example, whereas X-Men or Black Panther 3 are much higher priorities because those are going to have cheaper casts. You're going to have younger cast. Nobody in Black Panther 3 is demanding the kind of money that a Ryan Reynolds or a Hugh Jackman would be, or Mahershala Ali, a two-time Academy Award-winning actor at this point. So those are causing a lot more excitement and are a lot more prioritized right now in light of the possibility that box offices are never going to get back to what they were. Next up, we got a rumor about the fate of Robert Downey Jr.'s Doom post Secret Wars. A fairly reliable leaker, Daniel Reichman, has said that there is talks right now being had in Marvel about potentially keeping Robert Downey around as Doom post Secret Wars. So let's see what kind of money that's going to cost you, though, because I did just see a thing recently where he's now been paid $500 million by Marvel.
For so far.
In total. I think there was basically everything I think they just the new stuff, the Doctor Doom stuff, cost them like $70 million, something like that. And they said that now puts him to the spot where he's made $500 million on the Tony Stark.
Highest paid actor of all time, right?
It's got to be. It's got to be. So I don't know. We'll see on that. Next up, we've got Kevin Feige talking about Mephisto, Sacha Baron Cohen's Mephisto. Quote, he was never part of WandaVision. He starts off by saying that. He says, we've talked about that. Matt talked about that. Jack Schaefer's talked about that. He was never part of WandaVision. But the enthusiasm with which he was theorized on that show certainly was cool and fun to watch. And he's another character that pre-MCU would have been hard to do because he's literally the devil. How can you do that character? But he's a formative character. He was a big part of Thanos' storyline in the comics. So again, now that he's here, the potential is clear. So, when pressed on whether to expect more Mephisto in the future, he simply replied, yes.
Jeez.
So, some Mephisto in the offing. And then last up here, we've got...
You finished Ironheart, right?
Yeah, I did.
That came out of nowhere for me.
Yeah.
Like when that popped up, I was like, wait, what?
Yeah.
Haven't we been talking about this guy showing up for like a decade?
Yeah, no, and this is the and I don't think we've covered it heavily on the show, but it was confirmed like as they were developing that series that they'd cast Sacha Baron Cohen to play the role and stuff. So, yeah, no, and I find it fascinating to do that too because Ironheart feels so technological and stuff. So to flip her now to where she's now dealing with like Doctor Strange level stuff is really cool because it's
like the Mandarin with Iron Man.
Yeah.
Right? Like the magic versus the tech.
Yeah, exactly. So then the last up here, Feige says Robert Downey Jr.'s Doom was planned before Ant-Man 3.
Oh, okay.
So that recontextualizes everything because
everyone thought this was a pivot.
Everyone thought this was 100% a pivot because of the Jonathan Majors criminal allegations. But if this is pre-Ant-Man 3, that means that is not the case. So this is what Feige said. He said we had started even before what happened to the actor happened. We had started to realize that Kang just wasn't big enough. He wasn't Thanos.
Yeah.
So, quote, there was only one character that could be like Thanos because he was that in the comics for decades and decades. Because of the Fox acquisition, we finally had it, and it was Doctor Doom. So we started talking about Doctor Doom even before we officially pivoted from Kang. And in fact, I had started talking to Robert about the audacious idea before Ant-Man 3 even came out. Because the other thing, too, is people thought that the box office performance of Ant-Man 3 was another reason for the pivot. That, like, there was a failure there, so suddenly, oh, shit, Kang's not good enough. So that, and then the Jonathan Majors shit, that was all the reason for it. But he's basically saying now, like, no, we knew before the movie even came out, but like
enough.
Kang wasn't doing it. So, quote, it was a long plan that we had to take one of our greatest characters and utilize one of our greatest actors. So that's really cool, and that's a very, very interesting thing to learn now, and it kind of makes sense because like I remember saying post Thanos that it's really going to be hard to like replicate that. So I wondered if what they were going to do is like don't try to out Thanos, but do something different and something like Kang that is a little bit smaller, but you just do it creatively where it's like you're not trying to go bigger than Thanos. You're not
going to have an end game scene where everyone shows up and everything like that, but you're going to have a small, oh shit, this is a crisis. We have to deal with this.
Yeah.
But it's a lot smaller and a lot more contained.
Yeah. So it's definitely interesting. It recontextualizes a lot of what we thought about everything. So, but that does bring us over to the main topic. It's good. I wanted to give us plenty of time. So, so Fantastic Four, the first steps, I guess. I guess there's no the. It's just the Fantastic Four first steps. My slide is a little wrong. So, I just right off the bat, initial impressions, initial thoughts.
I thought it was really good. And I thought that it did one thing very well, and that was not fall into the predictable category.
Yeah.
That was the big thing with this one is like the trailers and everything like that made it seem like, oh, well, their world is doomed.
Yeah.
Galactus eats it, or there's an incursion. That was something that we've talked about is like, this could start an incursion, and that leads us into Doomsday and Secret Wars perfectly.
Yeah.
Because the second Secret Wars comic, which we talked about just a month ago, was an incursion event led to the creation of Doom World.
Yeah.
So it's interesting to think like, oh, is that what they're hinting at? Is that what we're looking at and everything like that? but I love that they subverted that and they told a story that was fantastic.
Yeah.
Pun intended. It really
Yeah.
was. I think they nailed it where they wanted to introduce us to these characters. They did not do a huge backstory, origin story. I think you even said outside the theater that you thought it was too much.
The origin. I think they
Yeah.
spent too much time on it ultimately. Like, not that it was bad. It was just a matter of like, we know this story. People know the story, and I feel like you could have even just done a couple lines of dialogue. But I do think that part of it, though, the more I've thought about it, and I have seen it again, I do think that part of it was to kind of build some of the guilt for Reed.
Yeah.
Potentially, like to show some of that footage of them before or whatever. I will say, I mean, the guilt of Reed is there in the movie, but it's never massive, right? It's never a big
Right.
part of the story. But I mean, ultimately, I mean, whatever. They made this not knowing what Superman was going to do. But
Yeah.
I'm really hoping that Superman's going to recontextualize comic book movies to the point where it's like we don't have to do anything for origins anymore.
Yeah.
Mr. Terrific was one of the biggest takeaways from that film, and there was not a single fucking word mentioned about his origins. Nothing. No explanation of his abilities, his powers, nothing. It was just, here's a guy called Mr. Terrific, watch what he does, and let's fucking roll with it. And that's
Yeah.
kind of what comic books used to do. I mean, especially if a guy would show up as like a secondary character originally in somebody else's book, and then later they got their own book. I mean, they would always usually do the formulaic, and they'll
That's
do like
when
an
you do
origins.
the origin stories when you
Yeah.
launch the book, but
Yeah.
you don't tell Wolverine's origin story when he shows up in Spider-Man.
Yeah.
Or whatever.
Yeah.
Well, you don't tell Punisher's origin story when he shows up in
Spider-Man.
Spider-Man.
Yeah.
That would be a better example. Like,
Yeah.
that probably actually happened. Like,
Yeah. Well, it did.
did it really? Punisher debuted in Spider-Man.
Yep.
Yeah, perfect. Exactly.
I thought you knew that, and you were
Nope.
driving at that for a reason. Yeah,
Nope.
no, that's 100%. That was a big thing that
I have
people.
not read a ton of comics. I'll be perfectly honest.
That's one thing that a lot of people speculated or talked about when they announced that John Bernthal was going to be in Spider-Man. So we've got Bernthal, Scorpion, Hulk. Like it's mixing out to be a very interesting movie to me.
It is, yeah.
So also that's our next movie as well
for
So,
Marvel, yeah.
Yeah, because it was supposed to be Doomsday, but
And now that's next year, right?
yeah, it just moved from May to December. Both Avengers
It's
movies.
December.
Yeah, both.
So we go a whole calendar year without a Marvel movie.
Yes.
What's the last
by
time-
by a couple days.
Yeah. What? No. July is the last Marvel movie.
Yeah,
Fantastic Four.
No,
is in.
Spider-Man. Spider-Man comes out like a day or two removed from a year off of Fantastic
Oh,
Four.
I thought you said that it moved from July to
no,
December.
Doomsday did.
Oh, Doomsday. did.
Because
Gotcha.
it was supposed to be Fantastic Four, Doomsday, Spider-Man,
Yeah.
and then into the year after. But now Doomsday has been shifted, so Spider-Man is the
A
next
year.
movie,
It's a
and
year.
it's a year and a couple days, if I remember right,
Okay.
from Fantastic Four. So
Gotcha.
ultimately, outside of COVID, it's the first time I think for the MCU periods. I mean, COVID. I think
No.
most of us can hand wave COVID away because like whatever.
Did we have movie in 2008, 2009, 2010, 2011? I thought we skipped some there.
No, but even when there was like, even if there's one movie, a lot of times they were within a year of each other. So COVID obviously doesn't count. So yeah, so for me, I will say kind of as one that's read more of the comics than you, the family thing is finally what they got right. I would say there's two main things. One, the Fantastic Fours we've had previously were in the pre-MCU days, so I'm not going to judge them for the fact that they were I would have said those are like 6 or 7 out of 10s back in the day. Because that's what we expected from comic book movies. That's like
Right.
they fit into the realm they were in. But now on the MCU has come onto the stage, like those have dropped to like 5s at best, right? Because it's just like the Feige has redefined what we expect out of comic book movies.
Right.
And now when you go back and look at those, they're just like, that's not good enough, man.
Right.
And I think that in both cases of the attempts that we've had now, they have just not done good with the family thing. It just, they never felt like a family. It never, and that's the core of the Fantastic Four. So it's like, that's what I had the most hope for when they announced that, like, okay, all this acquisitions have happened and we're going to be able to finally eventually get an MCU Fantastic Fours. I'm like, Feige's going to get it right. One, we're going to get the right costumes, not to say that they've ruined the costumes of the old ones, but like, you know, like, I didn't know that we'd get Galactus, but it's like, if we get Galactus, it's going to be fucking Galactus. It won't be a fucking cloud. There's an embrace that Feige does that Fox just never would have done.
Mm-hmm.
And like the family element is the thing where Feige knows enough about this to know that is the fucking core of this. The primary thing is the family thing, and whether that's like brotherly antagonization between Ben and Johnny, or it's the sibling love between Sue and Johnny. Like those things just didn't exist, and I know they played Johnny much differently with Chris
like
Evans.
The brotherly love between Ben and Reed.
Oh, for sure,
like
100%.
That also is
no,
there
yeah,
as well.
Yeah, that's true. I would have said that next in terms of like I lost my. I got tangenting by saying that like like they did play Johnny differently because he was very cocky, abrasive with Chris Evans. So I get why you're not going to necessarily get like that sisterly, brotherly like thing that we got in this, right? Like when Sue kind of supports him, and I love that like
she's like, I love the scene where she comes in and she's like, all right, show me what you got.
Yeah.
Versus like, oh, this hothead, he can't think. I love that Johnny actually like was the one that solved that puzzle and figured that stuff out. So
yeah, felt very Tony Stark to me.
Yeah.
Even the second time watching it too, like even just the way the actor did it, there was just times where it's like that looks like Tony Stark.
Had the helmet on, was watching the footage over and over again. And
it wasn't even a helmet. There was just one point where he's doing something with his face where it's like that looks like what fucking RDJ would have been doing.
Yeah.
Like visually, like facially acting. And there was a time where I'm like, man, like it almost felt deja vu-ish where it's like, is this an Iron Man movie? Is that Tony Stark right there? And then like, you mentioned the Ben thing. Like, I think they did an interesting thing by skipping the resentment for Ben
stage,
like I don't think, I mean, we got a small smidge of it with him in the TV screen, which you saw in the trailer, so it made us think like, oh, is this going to be like Ben's disposition? And it just wasn't. We've kind of jumped beyond a lot of the early stage shit, which is good because that's all we've dealt with the two previous three technically, but not really. That one in the 90s doesn't count.
Well, what about the later one?
Well, that's why I said two versions.
Two versions. I thought you were saying just two films.
Sorry. No, the two versions is, I think with those, it's kind of like what I've been saying about a lot of comic book movies is like, I don't ever want to see the intro to the Joker again. Give me a Batman movie where Joker's been on the scene for a long time and Batman understands him, because I'm tired of who is this clown, and then it's kind of like the whole thing too when like when you're constantly rebooting like a Superman or whatever else, like when you're always having to cover that fucking origins, it gets you to a spot where all you're ever doing is you're replaying the greatest hits over and over. And it's like this one did a great thing by bunny hopping all of that shit and just getting to the point where, okay, now Ben is pretty comfortable in his skin. He was
out walking the street by himself. No one was making fun of him. That's the other thing I love about this is the world fully accepted the Fantastic Four.
Yeah, turned on him
a bit.
For a bit, yeah.
But
it didn't hold, which is great.
I love that the world is just like, hey, Ben, what time is it? The kids are like, pick up the car. He's like, oh, this car right here.
And like him pretending he can't lift it was a killer.
He was like, honestly, it felt like, like the quarterback of the Jets walking down the street in the 80s in New York City.
Like he's not going to buy a beer, right?
No.
If Ben goes into a bar,
no, they're like, hey, let me buy you a beer, kind of thing.
He's never buying a beer again.
Exactly.
Like
just like the T-shirt, which is was a surprise for you.
I remember us like talking about it on the show when she was cast, but I had completely forgotten. And so when she showed up, I have a huge crush on her, Natasha Lyonne.
Yeah, Natasha Lyonne's character was like, yeah, come on in next time, and he's like, oh yeah, all right, I will. And it's like, that's something that this Ben would do. The other Ben would never go in front of children. I'm going to scare children. This Ben was comfortable in his skin.
Yeah.
To be able to go, the joke, like you said, lifting the car. Oh, I can't lift it. It's too heavy.
Or when Natasha tells you, you should have thrown it at him next time.
Yeah, exactly. Like the humor there and everything like that.
Yeah.
Being able to joke with him and him having a sense of humor. But then you did get that scene with Ben and Reed in the window.
Yeah.
Where Reed's like, I'm sorry, and Ben's like, dude, man, you got to let it go.
Yeah.
Like he's just like, we've been over this, like let it go.
Yeah.
I think the relationships, like you were saying, the family aspect, that they nailed it in this film on all relationships.
Across the board. It's kind of like the Avengers.
All four of them.
It's kind of like the original Avengers, where they played every character had their moment with Loki. Everyone.
Yep.
And they did a pretty good job. Most of the characters had moments with each other.
Yeah.
Or for us comic book fans, long-time guys like me that have read some of this, I was like, oh my God, a fucking scene with like X
Thor
and
and Hulk.
Like it's just it's incredible. And so for this, I think they did a great job of like, I feel like the other ones, it felt very sectioned. You had Reed and Sue, and then you had Johnny and Ben. It just always felt like they were kind
even
of
like-
they're,
even
they're,
like-
it's like
yeah.
the old like TV dinners, like you got the little cordons, and it
Yeah.
never felt like a full meal together
on a plate with all of it.
Yeah, it always felt it always felt kind of
Yeah.
like chopped up, and
like
it's
it
like
was separated. And I think the big thing, the biggest one, the more and more I've thought about it over the week since we saw it, the big relationship that really stuck out to me, because like Reed and Sue, we know they love each other. We know they portrayed that pretty well in the other films. I mean, I never saw the second.
I feel like there was an awkwardness to the
Well,
actors.
they were
there
were
wasn't
like dating in the first one. They weren't even married.
yeah, they got married the second movie.
Yeah, they got married at the start of the second
Stan
movie.
didn't get the invite. Do you
Yeah.
know who I am?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So, I feel like they kind of got that courtship out of the way in this one. We started years into their relationship. They're married.
Well,
and
and there was there
But
wasn't chemistry with the actors in the old ones too. Like there was
Yeah.
just like and it's hard.
I mean, how do you put that guy with Jessica Alba for God's sake?
Yeah,
I mean, at least this one got Pedro for
Yeah.
crying out loud.
and I get that that's hard. That is one of the toughest things for a casting person is chemistry, because you just don't know, right? Like James Gunn, we just found out, spent a lot of time, and he had 3 of the 3 main actors, so he had 9 people. And he was like doing testing with like, hey, this actor with this Superman with this Lois, this Superman with this, and like he played a fucking shell game until he found
Nick was one of the Supermen.
Yeah, exactly, until he found the right thing. And not everyone's going to do that. I think James, that's what shows that why James is James. So I'm not blaming the old ones, but there was just never the chemistry that Vanessa and Pedro had. Those
Right.
two had a fucking chemistry that was just, it came off the screen, and
Right.
and that made so much of the difference, even more so than the writing or the time jump. For me, it was just those two felt right together.
Yeah, they did. For me, the relationship that really kind of stood out was Johnny and Ben. Is that in the original, the Fox ones with Chris Evans and Jessica Alba, the biggest thing I took away from that is, man, these two hate each
Ben
other.
does not like Johnny
Man,
because
these two hate each other.
opposite
Like,
personalities in a way that is just incompatible. It's
Yeah.
it's oil and water.
like that's how they felt. And then it's
Yeah.
like, in this one, it's like, it's big brother, little brother, where yes, he kind of annoys you and stuff like that, but
Yeah.
you don't downright freaking hate him.
No. I mean, he's the one that saves Johnny in the I don't even know if it's the TAW 2, but maybe the TAW 1.
Right.
In Galactus' ship, like when he runs out of air, it's Ben that saves him.
I got
And-
you, bro.
and I think it was the ultimate brotherly thing. Like there is an antagonizing relationship with a younger brother and an older brother.
Yeah.
It's always there. It doesn't mean they're not brothers, they don't love each other, and it doesn't mean there's not moments where that's not there. You know,
That's a brother
but-
thing where they're going to rub each other the wrong way, but there is a closer bond where they're not actually blood brothers.
yeah.
That's the thing. And like, I loved that scene, dinner, right at the beginning. Like,
Yeah.
you're late. I'm late
Yeah.
for dinner, and Ben just like,
yeah.
he knew.
Yeah.
He knew that.
And it was,
smart
and
son
I
of a
loved it.
bitch.
I loved it was Reed that gave it away too.
Uh-huh.
It's like, do you look at your husband's face?
Yeah, look at his face.
Again, that's the best friend thing, right?
Yeah.
Like I'm gonna know if you've got something.
Oh, yeah.
Like and likewise, right? Like there's something that comes from a long time friendship.
Yeah.
And I think that it just across the board, all of that was incredible. It felt like a family. And I do think they greatly benefited by jumping the time. Like that was a huge benefit for sure. So I've got a couple things I'll just kind of throw in here.
Okay.
Let me. So the first one here is there's a rumor. This is actually before the film came out, and this is from My Time to Shine H, which is a moderately reliable leaker that we've used before. Apparently earlier plans for the post-credit scene would have seen Steve Rogers' Nomad show up to warn them about Doctor Doom.
Really?
So then ultimately they shifted the plans on that. So and used Doom himself. So that is intriguing to me. I'm like,
Yeah.
can you imagine if like Doom had already like started fucking around in the 616 and
Absolutely.
Like
yeah,
that-
would have been like, whoa.
yeah. Let's see. Let's talk about Galactus. I mean, before I don't want to just. I got some other notes, but like I want to just mix them in sporadically. So we've talked
Okay.
about the family. We've talked about the time jump. We've talked about the relationships. Powers. Let's talk about that actually before we jump to Galactus.
I loved. This is something that I've seen a lot of people complaining about this online. I've seen even videos like detailing how they got it wrong in this movie, with Reed's powers.
Idiots.
They're
No
just
way,
like
man.
they're just like
It's perfect.
What he got hurt by being stretched and everything like by Galactus, and he wasn't even like stretched like that much. And I'm like, you realize how big that guy is, right? Like
Yeah.
that's stretched across in like an entire street.
Yeah.
Well, in the Fox one, he did this, and it's like, you're saying that's right.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
you're trusting the Fox movies to get
Yeah.
something
But
right.
that's probably people complaining that we're film fans, or not even readers. Probably they're people
Right.
that saw those previous ones, and they're
well, that's the extent of his
they're
powers.
yeah, they're understanding for sure.
right. And I think the big thing with Reed that they got right is his superpower is his brain.
100%.
And the way
The
that
stretching is a secondary. That's
Yes.
that's your side dish.
yes,
Like
and the
that's
way
your
that-
that's your mac and cheese. The fucking steak is the brain.
It's the same
That's-
thing.
that's-
It's the equivalent of saying like Deadpool's main power is his mouth. He's the mark with a mouth.
Yeah.
His healing powers, that's just cherry on top,
Yeah.
kind of thing.
Yeah.
And I think with Reed, they really showcased his intelligence,
Yeah.
but also at the same time, Reed didn't solve everything.
Yeah.
He came up with the plan at the end and everything like that on the fly and everything. But there's a lot of stuff that was contributed by other members of the family.
Yeah.
I'll tell you right now, Sue's speech to the crowd wanting Franklin
Oh man.
was amazing by
killer.
Vanessa.
Because I thought the world was not going to come back around for them. I thought, I even predicted that just out of the trailers. I'm like, this is just so over the top, sweet and accepting. They're gonna
There's
turn
gonna
on
be
them,
something-
man.
There's going to be something bad, yeah.
It's like when something's too good to be true. It's just it
usually is.
has to be because it's too good to be true. Like it's gonna
Right.
turn on them. So I remember predicting that way back, but like I didn't think they would win back the world, at least fully. I thought it'd be kind of a Superman thing where, usually Superman, when the world turns on him because of Lex, he'll be able to gain most of the world back, but he loses some every time.
Well, we
that
talked
happens,
about that
right?
with Superman is that there's going to be those people still in Superman that are going to believe he's still not up to any good.
Yeah.
There's still going to be people
Oh, yeah.
that are on Lex's side
Yeah.
saying, I don't trust that alien. He
Yeah.
wants a harem, and he's just biding his time, and he's being crafty and sneaky and everything.
And I thought that was going to happen here, where it was like you would never get a full, like maybe some of the people started accepting the family again, but like it really seemed like, and again, I love it because they established earlier on, I guess we kind of skipped Sue a little bit, but they established early on that Sue is huge, right? She's running the
Oh my
Freedom
gosh,
Foundation.
She's basically
she's
like
the
leader
politician.
of the UN kind of thing.
Yeah,
right?
exactly. Yeah, she's solving problems. She's building bridges with Mole Man. Like that's a huge thing from the comic perspective because he's always a villain. Like there's not this like almost like bridging for him. He's a fucking villain. Like it's just
Yeah.
who he is. Like the Pan Am building, that's straight from the comics. Like, and so the fact that like she's kind of like, I don't trust surface dwellers, but I do trust Sue. Like that to me, I was like that threw me through a loop because I'm like that is so different, but at the same time, I love it because
I get it.
It's
It makes sense.
Yeah, it's perfect.
Yeah.
Yeah. So Sue was incredible. Ultimately, then winning the people back over, I thought was maybe her MVP scene.
I think it was.
Like, because
Well, I mean, you got that, and you got her fight versus Galactus, which was pretty cool.
yeah, her powers were incredible,
Mm-hmm.
perfect. I don't think they've ever been done that well before. I feel like the other times it's been very much invisible. The whole like projection force field type thing, like that, which is from the comics, like
Yeah.
Because honestly,
It's always very minor how they do it.
yeah, how in the movies for sure. Because like
Yeah.
in like the reality of like comics, when you're having to like put these people against like major villains, like how important is going invisible?
Yeah.
That's fucking worthless almost. Like,
Yeah.
so they knew that early on, where they knew that there needed to be like another kind of like Magneto, right? It's not just magnetism. It's like on a scale where it's like
He can destroy the Earth.
yes, and like so for her to then make it to where it's like okay, her invisibility comes from like kind of I don't even know, not a force field, but like there's like a projection type thing with her, and so I think they portrayed it in a perfect way. Whereas like with Jessica Alba, it was very much just she goes invisible. I'm not saying that she didn't have a little bit more, but
But they also made it kind of comical with her more
Yeah.
so than
yeah,
an actual like Sue Storm was kind of comical with Jessica Alba
yeah.
and everything. Like she had
And
her
she-
moments,
She
but
was sidebarred. She was a second rate character in both other versions. They didn't ever give her the chance to truly be in the comics who she is, and this
Right.
one did. They were like Sue
she
Storm
was
is
like the leader.
she's Sue
You
fucking
pointed
Storm.
it out when we covered the trailer, Are you the defenders of this planet? We are. It's Sue that answers,
Yeah.
not Reed,
Yeah.
not Johnny, not Ben. It's Sue that answers.
Yeah.
She's the leader of the Fantastic Four.
Yeah, 100%. And there's like some folks that are stupid, that are all like, oh, they're trying to woke it up and like whatever. And it's like, okay, you guys are idiots. One, because if you're ever making that argument for Marvel, you're just as dumb as it comes, because Marvel has had this built in since day one. But two, Sue is one of the most important characters, if not the most important character in the Fantastic Four over the decades of comics.
Yeah.
So it's like, this is not a new thing. This isn't just like, oh, Disney wants to like, diversify it more.
Only woke for Disney.
Yeah.
I did read Feige's thing where covering like the Miles Morales and the future of the MCU and all that kind of stuff. I read a Vanity Fair article
Oh, okay.
on it, and one of the things was they asked him about the woke accusations against Marvel, and he said one of the things with Marvel versus other things is that we project the world that's outside. Like, if you look out your window, that's the world.
Yeah.
And so for people to be like, well, Sue's too strong of a woman to be, and it's like, it's 2025. What are you talking about?
Yeah.
Like, come on. Like, this isn't 1952.
Yeah.
Like,
Exactly.
and enough of this. Like enough of with like the anti-woke Disney. It's like, you guys realize you live in 2025.
And it's
in
like,
this,
and it's Marvel.
right?
The thing that people don't understand is like, well, I would say maybe they're too stupid to understand, but it's like, I hate to be like negative like that, but it really comes down to is like Marvel has been that way since day one. The X-Men was a parable for Black Americans and the civil rights
It was a
movement.
commentary on the civil rights movement.
And like that is not at all. I would say in that society that was not a small deal, right? Like that's one of the big things. Like that's why people always talk about like Star Trek and stuff back in the 60s is like whenever you're dealing with something in a sci-fi realm, you're able to like mask your social commentary, and then you trick people that are stupid to not realizing that they're getting social commentary. And it's like that's what Marvel has done since day one. They've always done that. I can give you a dozen quotes probably from Stan Lee over the years where he talks about empathy and compassion and like everything that seemingly people and they'll deny it, but every time you hear him say woke, just flip out the word woke with empathy and tell me it doesn't work every single time.
Yeah.
And like if you're not empathetic, like then Marvel's not for you.
Yeah.
Like that's just it's not.
It just doesn't make sense to me to be like, no, we can't have this. And it's like, why? Like I don't understand why we can't have Black heroes or Asian heroes or women heroes. Like it just what do you mean?
Yeah.
We have all that. Just
Yeah.
pick up a comic.
Yeah.
You think Miles Morales is new?
Yeah. No, I think 2011. So
do you think
he's been
that,
around for 14 something years now?
Yeah, do you think Sue Storm is new?
Yeah. 61. So
I mean, Black
1960
Panther's not new.
No.
I mean, like, it just
And that Marvel has always been about that, even since the early days. I mean, I at one point was very ambitious and went from like the very first issue of Fantastic Four, and I was basically reading every issue of Marvel in order on the app, and it got to where it got unwieldy. It was about the time in like '63, I think, when you started adding in Spider-Man and all these other things. It got to the point where I'm like, I can't keep doing this, man. This is just too much.
Because you had to leave Fantastic Four and go read Spider-Man, then you had to leave Spider-Man and go read Daredevil, and all these different ones.
But like in those things, it's like I always had to like kind of almost pinch myself for it's like, oh wait, remember this was written in 1962, like John F. Kennedy was president, like because some of these things were like they felt modern, and it's like it's because Marvel was always about like we don't care about what I don't know, like the prejudices of the day or whatever.
It's just like that scene with Reed and being stretched out and everything like that. Like he has limits.
Yeah.
Like he's not infinite stretch. He can't stretch around the world and high five himself. Kind of thing.
Yeah, and I mean, or even if he can, who's to say that he's reached that ability yet?
Yeah,
we're not that far into their scope here.
4 years,
4 years. So, and the other part of it too is who's to say that he was trying to stretch with Galactus there? Yeah. Who's to say he wasn't trying to maintain? You know what I mean? Like,
what if he was trying to hold him?
Yeah.
And pull against him and everything.
Yeah,
that would hurt.
One interesting thing that they didn't really like hit on hard, but it was certainly there, is they've adapted the Jessica Alba thing. Right, she had to be naked. Like they adapted it to where Johnny was wearing clothes, Sue was wearing clothes, Ben was wearing clothes. None of it was affected by their powers.
Yeah.
I thought that was interesting because it just shows Reed, right? It's very subtle. They never call it out, but Reed has developed it to where it's like, you know, Johnny doesn't have to have like the one suit he was in when he was radio blasted, because that's the only thing that, like, whatever. No, like
No, Reed made new suits for them.
there's new suits.
Yeah.
They're, you know, Johnny, you know, like I love when he saved the one kid and he's like half on fire to fly and the other half to hold the kid. Like,
Yeah, he does it. He does it when he grabs Ben too.
yeah, I'm not that he
So-
needs it, but
But he does though. So maybe it's so that Ben's uniform doesn't get burned. Maybe
Maybe.
it's not flame retardant. You know.
yeah,
But I love that. Of course, Reed's going to be able to develop a suit that stretches with him.
yeah,
Maybe that's what it was. Maybe he wasn't necessarily like fully in pain. He was just mad that his suit was getting ripped.
yeah.
You know, he stretches
Yeah.
to the limits
and
of his
the,
suit.
the suit was starting to tear. So again, maybe like, because I do think that later on, it's at certain points in the comics, he's pretty ridiculously stretchy. But
Yeah.
we don't know that because again, the stretch is a secondary thing for him. Like
It's his intelligence.
it's his
and
brain.
I loved the scenes with him and Vanessa where they're talking about like the ramifications of Galactus asking for Franklin.
yeah,
Like that was.
yeah.
Wait, you're just saying? You know, like
Yeah.
oh man, when she got that full on like mama bear
Yeah.
protective mode.
I love that because, like, what I've said is they've never done it in the comics. I said this outside the theater. They've done it in the comics a million times. And they've never got it on the screen yet. Is Reed is a very morally ambiguous character. He is a good person, mostly.
Yeah.
There are times though that he is an insufferable prick. There are times that even Fantastic Four hardcore fans that is their fucking comic.
Yeah.
There are times that I don't think you'd be able to find one of those that is like I'm with Reed all the time.
100%.
He is. There's times where it's like I cannot fucking support Reed here,
Yeah,
man.
this is-
he's
this is bad.
he's an insufferable prick at times,
Right.
and I think that was the perfect like element of that showing through.
Yep.
Where it's like I don't think he was ever truly thinking about it in like a sense of like maybe we should do this, but he was thinking it through strategically. And she called him out. She's like, I know you. I know the way your brain
Yep.
works. Like,
And the thing is that he can say that he's not thinking about doing it. He can say that it's not. But why is it in your head then? You know, that's I've literally had this argument with like in a relationship, not with my wife because she's a rational human being, but I've literally had this argument with ex-girlfriends where it's like, why are you thinking that? And
Yeah.
it's like, well, I'm never going to do it. It's like, yeah, but why are you thinking that? I'm like, it's called an intrusive thought, like for God's sake, you know, kind of thing.
yeah,
Reed has those, and the problem is that Reed says it.
yeah,
He doesn't have the smarts, the common sense, the social
yeah.
common sense to be like, you know, maybe I shouldn't say to my wife that we should think about the ramifications of giving up our firstborn son.
Yeah. Well, he's not even saying that. He's just saying that, you know, from the people's perspective,
How,
it's
he understands
logical.
how they're feeling, and
Yeah.
it's logical. That's
So see,
don't say that in front of your wife, my guy.
here's my ultimate takeaway is why this is set in the 1960s. Because if Wrath of Khan had been out, they could have quoted Wrath of Khan. The needs of the many outweigh the needs of the
Yep.
few, or the one. So,
There is no Star Trek in this universe.
or if there is, they maybe have the original series, maybe.
That's it, yeah.
Yeah, because that was from like 61 to 63. So yeah, you're talking like that's the only Star Trek that exists. So, who's your favorite of the four?
Oh, Sue.
Sue.
Yeah,
Okay.
I was gonna say Vanessa, but yeah, character.
Yeah.
Character Sue. She was phenomenal. Mother, leader, politician.
Yeah.
All of that rolled into one. But then her fight with Galactus at the end, pushing him into the portal and everything like that, was just
And
it was
dying.
awesome.
And dying.
She did die.
And that was a legit death. Like there's.
She died.
Yeah, she was 100% dead there, and you know I knew it immediately. I was like, okay, she's dead, and I'm like, and he's gonna do CPR. It's like this isn't gonna play out because they're gonna let Franklin fucking bring her back, man.
Because he's got that power.
Yeah, because that they hadn't revealed it yet, right? Like Galactus, obviously,
Yeah.
like he's got the power cosmic and stuff. So it's like, I don't think we as an audience necessarily doubted it,
Yeah.
but we still hadn't been paid off to where it's like, okay, no, this kid's not just a baby here.
No.
So,
And what was your? Do you want to talk about Franklin for a minute?
I mean, sure.
You had a thought outside of the theater about Franklin and Doom. He's reaching up and touching.
Oh yeah,
his
he's
face.
healing his face.
You think he's healing his
100%.
face?
Yeah. Yep.
So Doom in the comics, because I haven't read very much. I just want to make sure I understand.
also,
this.
how does Doom know? to take the mask off and let Franklin see that scarred up face to get
I mean,
healed.
he's been around the block, and Doom's no idiot.
No, I know. I'm just saying it's just one of those intriguing things, universe-wise, where it's like, how do you know? Because he's offering that face up.
It's what, another 3 years later, 4 years later?
4 years. So that
he's
so
4 years?
Franklin's 5 years old.
4 going on 5,
Because you jump that year for that last or that where they give the five onesie
where they're building. Yeah.
For like the talk show, right?
Yeah.
It's like 1 year ago, like they defeated Galactus, and like so Franklin's won there, and then it's 4 years.
The scene where they're trying to put the car seat in the car.
Yeah, I'm sure I'm sure you could relate. And then the post credit said 4 years later, so that would make Franklin a 5-year-old,
right?
Because that tripped me out a little bit. Because I'm like, is that a 5-year-old?
Yeah,
he looked kind of young for a 5-year-old to me.
Yeah,
but I don't know. Isn't 5 like a kindergartner?
6-year-old.
5 or 6, depending on when your birthday is.
For us, it would have been right away 6. So
but we're the oldest.
Cutoff is usually August.
But
so,
we're the oldest
we're
in the
oldest,
class.
Yeah.
So I just I get I don't have kids, so I don't have the frame of reference. It just that looked more like a 3-ish, 4 maybe 4-year-old, not a 5-year-old. I don't know. I'm not complaining. I'm just like as I did the math the second time watching, I was like, oh wait, we jumped a year and then we're going to jump 4 years in the post credit, so we're talking a 5-year-old there.
Yep.
Which also I like that because it gives more of a kid that's got more of a cognizant brain. I'm not saying
he might remember this. That's the thing is like that's what they say is around 4 or 5 is when you start
remembering
having permanent memory.
But also
kind of
like
thing.
As we move into Doomsday and shit though, having a 5-year-old versus if it were a 2 or 3-year-old, you can't do anything with that. Like he might do something here and there, but he might not. Like if a 5-year-old though, that could be a kid that could be reasoned with. That could be a kid that could be conditioned to like do something for Dr. Doom that he knew. So it's a perfect setup for sure. But yeah, what did you want to? I think he's healing his face.
Yeah, that's what I was.
Yeah.
You said that, and I wanted to make sure that we brought that up on the show because that was I think that's a very interesting insight. So, I've never read a ton of Fantastic Four. I've read the Secret Wars now. That's it.
Both, yeah.
Both of them. Doom is scarred from an accident.
Yeah.
Is it the same?
It's various.
It depends.
Changes.
Okay.
Yeah. Kind of like
But
the
he's
Joker.
he's
like why is the
severely-
Joker the way the Joker
Yeah.
is? Like you couldn't define that for me singularly.
There's different every time.
Roll some dice and figure out which version we're
Yep.
talking about.
Yep. Probably have like a 1 through 20 version of Joker. Same with Doom kind of thing. Okay.
Yeah. Maybe not as many as Joker, but he's certainly got various reasons.
So he is scarred. So we're probably seeing Franklin heal him there, so that we can see Robert Downey Jr.
Yeah. You don't pay $500 million to an actor for no
to
reason.
put a ton of makeup on him and make him look all scarred and disfigured, make him look like Frankenstein.
Yeah.
So
I hope we
monster,
see it
sorry.
though. I hope we do
You
see
think
it though.
we absolutely will.
Yeah.
I
I think this scene we're going to come back to that scene, but it's not going to be the beginning of the next movie. I think we're.
Oh, you're of the mindset that it's not the beginning of the next movie now.
No,
Okay.
I think it'll be early in the movie,
Okay.
but I do think we're going to get an establishment of Doom before that, and we may see him like could even be an origins to show him being scarred, show him in charge of Latveria. Like I think we might get kind of like this movie, right? You had like that kind of that introduction of some kind. I just wonder if we'll get that, and then we're going to circle back around to that scene. But from the perspective of we'll see Doom, how does he get in the room?
Right.
What does the rest of that scene play out like? We got to pay that off, right? Because he's gone. Like Franklin's gone. Like Sue has no shot of
stopping
Doom. That. Like that's
interesting.
That's like a Thanos when he goes through that fucking portal. Like what did you do? Zoop, gone. Like that's.
I think differently.
Yeah.
I think Doom is not necessarily going to instantly be a threat. He wasn't there at the little summit.
Yeah.
His chair was conspicuously shown to be empty.
Yeah.
I don't think we ever really get a shot of him before. They say he's not going to be in the film, but he ends up being in the end credit scene.
Yeah, which is in the film technically.
Mid credit scene. So I mean,
yeah,
they lied to us.
No, because it's not part of the movie. Because I do think the Russos filmed that scene on the set of Doomsday, sent it over to them to tag on. So.
Here's the thing, okay? I think that when he reveals who he is, she might be a little upset for showing up randomly. But I can see it being a little bit more psychological thriller than yoink, I'm gone kind of thing. I think it could be more of a, hey, I was just talking to your son. I'm sorry. You know, like, I have this pressing matter that I need your help with. And the psychological stuff that Doom is great at.
Yeah.
He was great at that in the Secret War comics that we read. You know, like, I mean, the second one, the newer one,
Yeah.
he manipulated Sue to be his wife.
Yeah.
Like, he changed.
What if he takes both of them?
like, oh, man.
What if he takes both? Because,
You know?
like, I will say across the board in the MCU, more often than not, they take from the Ultimate side of things, which is more new Secret Wars,
Yep.
than they do the original. So I kind of feel that that second one is going to be way more indicative of what we're going to see. So what if both Franklin and Sue end up gone with him?
He could. They very well could be, or it could just be like I'm saying. I really could see it being like a, oh hey Sue, sorry we weren't able to be there for like the whole Galactus thing. I've been off world, or I've been dealing with this, or it's good to see you. I really would not be surprised if it was that. She's like, Victor, you should have called. I didn't know you were coming, and
Could be.
then he turns.
So you think this is their Doom too? Like, do you think the Doom we're going to get is the 828's Doom?
I don't see why it wouldn't be.
I'm not necessarily saying one way or the other for sure.
I think it was. I think it was very.
It's funny we were
Done
talking. We
intention-
started talking about Franklin, and now we're just talking about future.
Well, I mean,
which
it's
fine,
the scene,
but
it's the scene
No,
with
I know,
Franklin.
I
The
know,
one
I know.
real scene with Franklin. I mean, he's a baby.
he
the
was
whole
pretty
rest.
adorable the whole movie.
I mean,
though.
he's a baby. Babies are pretty adorable. So
Sometimes
most of the time.
there are some ugly babies.
I will say that I don't think that Doom is going to be an enemy right away.
Interesting.
How else would he have a seat at the conference? He's the leader of that country. That's his country. He's the king of, kind of thing. So
Yeah, it could.
I could very well see it being a, oh, hey, Sue, and she powers down. Victor, I didn't hear you come in, like, what are you doing here, kind of thing.
Yeah.
I could absolutely see him turning on the Fantastic Four
Yeah.
later in the film.
Yeah.
Absolutely. But I think that if we do get a Franklin abduction, I think Sue's got to go with. And then it's Reed chasing his family.
Yeah, it could be. Where's my family?
Where's my family?
Doing
he goes
the-
full,
doing
he
the
goes
Harrison
full
Ford.
Harrison Ford.
Yeah. I'm gonna pause now because we're talking about Doom in the Baxter Building. So
Yeah.
we got a Kevin Feige quote here. Quote: "The fun of an Avengers movie is introducing people to each other and seeing how different personalities get along. In the case of a movie that involves the threat of worlds literally colliding, it's fun to see them visit each other's homes." So with the Baxter Building set, let's say it had 4 or 5 people in it at most in the Fantastic Four movie, it's going to have a heck of a lot more people in it in Doomsday. So I can just picture some Avengers in that building.
Or some X-Men.
Could be, yeah, could be. So
I mean, Alan Cummings sounds like he punches Pedro in the face, so.
yeah, we're 100% getting like a small version of Avengers versus X-Men for sure. Like
You think it's going to be Avengers versus X-Men, not Fantastic Four?
Fantastic Four as well. Like it's Doom's going to have them all fighting each other, and I think it'll be the Avengers, and which includes the Fantastic Four for the most part. So I would rope them into there, and it's going to be them.
They were a part of the Avengers group in the first Secret Wars.
Yeah, I mean, yeah. Reed is the others are in there at times. Reed's a pretty core member of the Avengers across the
Yeah.
board. So I would just say it's going to be them versus the X-Men. I don't think that means this is full on going to be Avengers versus X-Men comic book event, whatever. I still think that might be coming down the road. I think that's the next set of Avengers movies. But I think we're going to get a taste of it here with the Fox X-Men versus,
Do you still think all the X-Men are done? They're kaput?
Yes.
You still feel that way?
Yes, I can't remember if I got that quote or not.
Okay.
Franklin. No, I don't have a quote on it, but Feige's essentially confirmed that, like, yeah, when the X-Men show up in the future, like it's a whole new X-Men. There's gonna be new casting. It's
Right.
gonna look vastly different. Like,
The new X-Men thing is intriguing with that because I'm curious how they're going to do new X-Men when they've said that now Hugh Jackman is going to play it until he's 90.
yeah,
We'll see.
we'll see. You can easily do it without Wolverine too. So
X-Men without Wolverine is like Spider-Man without webs.
Not in the comics, though. Just comics. There's a lot of X-Men that don't have him in it. So, because it's the X-Men is almost as variable as the Avengers, where it's like any fucking issue you could pick up. There's a whole different set of.
There's a whole time where Magneto's the leader of the X-Men, for God's sake.
Yeah,
so
I mean, and it's just
the ultimate bad guy. So.
no, that's some slander there. So we talked about Franklin. A huge.
So Franklin.
huge-
Let's talk a little bit more about Franklin. The powers that Franklin.
Yeah,
has.
huge for the. I even have started kind of thinking through where it's like,
Mm-hmm.
if we end up finding out that like the Fantastic Four or Doctor Doom existed in the MCU, the 616 the entire
Mm-hmm.
time, Franklin could easily be someone that could have been hiding that way better than the Wakanda type stuff,
Yeah.
right? Like,
So you're saying Doom takes Franklin, goes to 616 years ago, because 60s, right?
could be, yeah,
And he's been hiding with Franklin as his son
yeah,
somewhere on 616, just ignoring everything.
yeah.
And then the Fantastic Four ship shows up to find him.
I will say there is also the rumor we covered last time that the this is all just a story that almost felt too neat, so it's probably fake. But the whole idea that it's going to be where Rambo is going to be where Doom is at with Franklin. So it's
yeah.
going to be like they're going to come to this 616, recruit them, where it's like we got to go rescue Monica and Franklin, defeat Doom, and get back over here type thing. So I think that all feels too neat, but I do kind of wonder I think the 616 a lot's going to happen here for sure.
Yeah.
And I do think that I wonder if we're going to trigger the incursion for the 616.
So you still think an incursion's going to happen?
100%. They've done too much legwork on incursions for that not to be a major. And even Feige in that quote I did, where it's like he just said,
An incursion is a way to...
it involves literally the threat of worlds literally colliding. It's fun to see them visit each other's homes. So it's like, yeah, I think we're going to have full-on incursions here. So
I mean, we already have one. So let's
Yeah.
not forget that.
no, I know, but we're going to see incursions where it really matters.
Where
right?
it's actually a world that we care about.
Yeah, exactly. Which would explain to us why Loki is going to be showing up, right? Because Loki is going to want to,
Prevent that.
prevent the sacred timeline from
I
being.
just remembered I have a soda pop sitting here.
So we also have Shackman, the director here, talking the new Avengers post-credit scene. Quote, no, because the Thunderbolts end credit scene was also created, relatively late in my process. So that was not something I was familiar with because it hadn't been created at the time that I was working on my script. So he's basically asked, why did we not get a payoff for that? And I think that's a foolish question anyway, because I think, again, that's people assuming that that's the same Fantastic Four. Or, I mean, also the other part of it, too, is with the time jump. That could easily be this Fantastic Four's Excelsior. Like, the whole 3 pillars versus 4, like, you just jump 5 years from...
Yeah, you were hot on that. Detective hat came on, and you're like, hey, wait a minute.
Also, that's 9 years ultimately, right? Because if you go from the original flight, which is that Excelsior, which they then stop flying after that, and that 4 years happens...
No, they fly it again.
Well,
That's what they fly to Galactus.
no, I know
for.
that's the first time they fly it since their accident, though. They get that thing where it's like, how long is it going to take us to get the Excelsior ready to go again?
Yeah.
Like you get this idea that there's
Space-worthy, yeah.
there's dust on it because like after that accident happened, they have been earthbound, and
I
so
think it's not.
So that's a
necessarily
night-
like it's damaged. I think it's
No, it's
trying
just-
to soup it up for further space exploration, because you get that scene with Reed at the beginning where he's like, "I'm detecting these things and we're going to go there one day," because he mentions it to Johnny, like, we're going to go back to space one day, but I want to make sure to get this right.
yes,
I think there's a little bit of guilt there with the last time they
Yes,
went. That
correct.
He's being overly cautious.
And that's what I'm saying is I think where they had the accident is the last time they've gone to space, which is where there's
Yes.
some resentment from Johnny because he likes the space thing. But ultimately he's like,
he's got that adventure bug.
yeah, and ultimately though Reed's like, I'm not going to risk us all again because God knows what happened and I failed last time.
Yeah.
So I do not think they've really gone to space since the accident.
No, they haven't. You're right.
So
And
I
he
think
says that.
So I think ultimately that Excelsior is a 9-year-old ship. By the time you get to where Franklin has been or if he gets kidnapped. Sorry, itchy eyes. So ultimately, I think that like yes, there could easily be an upgrade
You're
where
talking
there's a new Excelsior that has 4 prongs. Like that's because ultimately at a certain point, Reed's going to upgrade it. And ultimately, right now we're just dealing with, hey, we haven't been into space for a long time. Let's repurpose the Excelsior we've already had.
We have this idea to go do this exploration over here and everything like that.
Yeah.
We need to repurpose the Excelsior. I need to solve some things. We're still working on that. That's what the conversation he has
Yes,
with Johnny is like.
correct.
I haven't built the new suits. We're not going to space yet. That kind of thing. Like,
But I think that in the time there's the movie, then there's the 1 year time jump to the talk show, and then a 5 year or 4 year time jump to the Doom scene. I think in that intervening 5 years, there's a new Excelsior.
Well, there has to be. The other one was damaged really bad with the whole fight with Silver Surfer. So
Yeah.
why would you? I don't think.
But
that
it's
you
also
would,
Reed. He's going to want a new ship. The
I
only
don't
reason
think-
there's not a new
well,
ship
that's
already.
what I'm saying is like what I was going to say is like I think Reed's smart enough to understand that you don't repair a spaceship, you build a new one.
Well, it's like Tony Stark. How many new suits does he get? Because it's also that
Well, I
that,
think- I
that
think it's
inventor
just-
where it's like I've got improvements. Let's build a new
Yeah.
thing, right?
I think it's just I think it's a smart thing to do because when you look at it, I haven't studied a ton into space, but I was pretty for a year or so. I was a pretty big fanboy because the space shuttle came through Utah at one point here with us. It landed at our airport, which flew right over my house
Yeah.
on the back of that plane. So I started reading up on space shuttles and stuff like that. They have a lifespan.
Yeah.
5 missions, 4 missions,
Yeah.
2 missions, 6
But
missions.
that was the
you
big
know,
thing
that
with the
kind of thing.
shuttles. They're supposed to be reusable.
Right.
Versus the Apollos where those are one-time use. Yeah.
I think that the Excelsior that they have in the movie has reached its lifespan because of the damage
Yes.
and everything like that.
And-
So I don't think Reed would take the time to repair that. I think he's going to tear that down.
Yeah.
He's going to design something new and better.
But
like
I
you
think-
said with the Iron Man thing, I think it's going to be something new and better.
Yeah, new iteration. And I think that there already would have been that anyway had Reed had any intention on going to space. But he was so almost gun shy because of what happened that last time that he's not even like, not to say he doesn't ever want to go to space again, but he truly needs to overcome his trauma
Sure.
of what he did to his family.
I bet you
before
it's
he's
I
gonna-
bet you it's a different Excelsior than the one that they had their accident in. I bet you it's a different one entirely. I bet this
Oh,
is
100%.
I bet this one that we're going to see is Excelsior 3 or 4
That's
or
what
5.
exactly.
Yeah.
That's exactly what I'm saying. Is I think
Yeah.
that and I think that there's even a chance that like the Excelsior that exists when Doom takes Franklin, that Excelsior that exists in that moment right there is probably the one we're going to see there because he's already upgraded it a couple times. Like
Yeah.
you said, it could be the 4th or 5th one by that point.
Right.
Because now he's no longer worried about
See, here's my thing. You want Franklin to be able to be a character, right? Not just a 5-year-old boy.
Yeah. I think there's going to be a time
What
jump.
if there's another time jump
Yeah, I think there will be.
where Doom is not?
I wonder if we're going to see like a 12-something-year-old
See,
Franklin.
this is what I'm saying earlier. What I was getting at is that I don't know if Victor's going to be the enemy right away. I think he's going to be the snake in the grass that people are watching him and stuff like that. But just because he's there in the Baxter building doesn't instantly mean that he's a bad guy.
I think that I think if there were like 2 Doomsday movies, maybe, or if they would have had Doom at the beginning of this movie, I think but I think that when you're jumping into Doomsday and it's his fucking movie, I don't think we're going to waste a lot of time with him not being on his mission. So I think that like the first thing we're going to see when we see that scene again will be him potentially taking Sue, though. You've changed my mind. I do think that Sue's probably part of that. Again, take from the comics and,
That's what he does in the second Secret Wars. He takes Reed's whole fucking family.
yeah.
Not
yeah.
just his son, but his daughter and his wife.
But I wonder if I wonder if you've got the whole like with this one, you intro and you kind of recap the origins a bit. So I wonder if Doomsday will get that, and I wonder there is where you build why does he resent Reed, because you've got to establish that, and then once you do that, maybe that's even like an extended scene, and then you get the Marvel title card and
That's
everything.
why he's not at the committee and
Yes.
the union and thing and everything.
So you almost like rewind and show why does this happen, and then right on the other side of the title card is maybe the Franklin scene, and now we're going to see like him
Sue passed out on the floor, or Sue gone, and Herbie's running to go get Ben, and
or that showdown, like he and her. Like I want to see that. What does that conversation look like?
Yeah.
Because like you said, yeah, like they probably know each other.
I mean, literally,
he's the
Latveria is shown.
he's the leader of that country. So
Yeah.
it's like, yeah, he's like,
Why would he not know Sue?
yeah, exactly. So, yeah, it's very intriguing for sure. But I kind of wonder if there will be somewhat of a time jump to where, yeah, when we might see more of a 10 to 13-year-old Franklin type.
I
thing.
think a teenage Franklin would be a lot more intriguing than a 5-year-old.
yeah, and
I
also
think-
unpredictable. Teenagers are insane.
Teenagers have hormones, that is for sure. They go off the rails sometimes, and he is one of the most powerful beings in the entire Marvel universe.
Yeah.
So,
Which I haven't seen a lot of complaints on yet, because I saw some complaints over the last couple phases where it's like Captain Marvel. They keep doing these like overpowered characters. Kamala Khan to a slight extent, but like there was also one more recent where people are like, man, why do they I don't remember who it was now, but I just feel like people are kind of complaining that they just keep bringing them these like super overpowered characters. I haven't really seen a lot of bitching about Franklin yet, which I'm glad, because it's like, I don't know.
Makes you wonder if all those super-powered characters have to have a big bad to fight.
Yeah.
What if it's not Doom? What if it's Franklin?
Yeah.
What if Doom turns Franklin against his family?
Or Franklin riding Galactus like a dog. How was that image for you, reading that the first time and seeing like Galactus is basically a fucking toy? Because you know enough about Galactus to understand his importance and his nature, and so just to have him just being like
that's the second one,
second,
right?
yeah.
Galactus
like,
is basically just a toy for
I thought about that like when they did that whole thing, as I was like, man, one of the first things that Peter's going to see with Franklin is going to be fucking just making Galactus as his fucking lapdog.
I loved in Secret Wars where they just had Galactus just like, this doesn't concern me. He just goes up to the top of the mountain and just sits there.
Yeah.
All ominous, like just sits there, and people are just like, oh shit.
So let's transition to talking about Galactus. I teased that a
Yeah.
second ago, then we had to circle back to Sue because we hadn't talked about her enough yet. And then we talked about Franklin.
about Galactus. Do we want to talk about Silver Surfer?
I think that's 1 and 2.
Okay,
it's
gotcha.
certainly part of it.
I just wanted to make sure.
Yeah, because that's peas in a pod there.
Gotcha.
So it's peanut butter and jelly. I think let's talk about Galactus first and then
'Kay.
Silver Surfer. So, I mean, for me, it's perfect.
I've never had
It's-
Galactus
it's-
before, so
it-
this
it's-
is great.
And Ralph Ineson, what better voice?
Oh, great voice.
I mean, what better voice could you
he
possibly
was
have?
so intimidating coming out of the cloud of steam or smoke or whatever.
Yeah.
He's eating a freaking planet
Yeah.
right in front of them.
Yeah, so good. I forgot to do a slide for it, but there is actually a picture out there that he shared. They had a full practical suit for him too. Like this wasn't just like a CG.
Dang.
I'm not saying they didn't use some CG, but like
They had to have, yeah.
there's like a picture of him on Instagram with like his daughter, and it's like he's in a full fucking Galactus costume.
That's cool.
And he's wearing Yoda socks.
Nice.
So, yeah.
Gotta love the nerds.
Yeah. I loved this. This was just perfect. I mean, Galactus has never been brought to form in live action. I mean, clouds don't count.
You said that twice now. Is that the Rise of the Silver Surfer?
Yeah.
Is that what it was?
It's just this disembodied.
I've never really fully seen that movie. I think I told you about this.
Oh.
Like the one time I tried to watch it was Yar,
Oh, so that
and so it did not come across with good quality.
let me just put a thing out there for you. He's a disembodied cloud, so you might say he's sentient mist.
Oh fuck off!
Oh, inside joke.
That's terrible. That is
Inside,
terrible. So he's like the bad guy in the Green Lantern movie, without a face.
Yeah, it's terrible. Yeah. So ultimately for me, I don't know what else to say other than like everything about him was perfect.
Yeah.
It probably helps that I saw it in RPX, which is Regal's like biggest theater. Like,
Yeah.
it shook the ground when he talked. Like, your chair was rumbling and shit.
That's
like,
awesome.
That just worked. They did a great job with like the look was perfect, which I almost take that for granted now. I feel like with the MCU, they always nail the looks.
They've been
so.
nailing looks since day one.
Yeah.
With Iron Man.
Iron Man
It's
had the
been-
colored suit.
Yeah.
Like, it was like they've never shied
Captain America had the Stars and Stripes.
Yeah, they've never shied away from like just embracing the comics.
I
You know,
mean-
Thor had his fucking cape, and
Yeah.
for a couple minutes had the fucking horned helmet. Like, it just. So I've almost taken that for granted now, but I shouldn't, because decades and decades of comics have like been ashamed of that shit.
Okay.
So like
Okay.
I almost
Hold on.
fully accepted the fact that Galactus is going to look right, but I shouldn't take that for granted because they did. He was perfect. He was purple.
Yeah.
He was fucking huge. He had the off-colored. He had like his eyes changing was fucking
Yeah.
perfect. Everything about him was absolutely incredible.
Thor doesn't wear a horned helmet, sir. That is Loki. How dare you? How dare you?
He's got the little
No,
fucking.
he's got wings on the side of his helmet. It's not horns.
Same thing.
It's wings.
Same thing.
How dare you?
Yeah.
And he
so,
even had the umbrella too, like Thor did. Like
Yeah.
the umbrella.
no,
like,
that
that's-
was. Oh, that wasn't the first movie, but it was later on when he's on Earth, right? Or was that in the
no,
second?
it's
movie?
Ragnarok.
Oh,
It's when he's on Earth and goes to Doctor Strange.
Yeah.
Don't forget your umbrella.
Yeah.
Crash, 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 smash, smash, smash.
Yeah.
That's absolutely callback to the comic and everything like that. So
Yeah.
and then I mean more recently, look at Wolverine. I mean, my God.
Yeah,
like
for
you know,
sure. So that's what I'm saying. I almost take it for granted, but I need to give them credit for it, even though
Yes.
that's now the SOP, right? The standard operating procedure now
because
is
it has not been for all comic book movies is to have like good costumes and stuff like that, good
Yeah.
outfits and everything.
yeah. So yeah, Galactus was perfect. I don't know what else to say. It was done perfectly. He was menacing. He was intimidating.
Yeah.
He was he was the beyond, right? He's
Yes.
beyond comprehension. He's not whatever. Like they give you some titillating things. Like I
Yeah.
was once like you. Like there's just I don't know. Just
I have no experience with Galactus aside from reading Secret Wars. And so the first Secret Wars, the 1984,
yeah.
the 1984 one obviously showed Galactus was a formidable threat. They were worried about him constantly. They were worried about him.
Yeah.
And he was just standing there. He
Yeah.
wasn't doing anything.
He's
Galactus tried to fight I forgot the name of the entity, like the beginner.
the Beyonder.
The Beyonder.
Beyonder, yeah.
The Beyonder. And, dude, Beyonder just
Yeah.
smacked him and everything. And then Galactus brought his homeworld there.
Yeah.
And Doomsday's like, hey, that's nice. I want that.
Yeah.
Kind of thing. So Galactus, that's the only exposure I really have to Galactus. And in the second one, in the second Secret Wars, he literally is just like a toy. He fights Hulk later on, the
Yeah.
big Hulk,
Yeah.
So that's the only thing that he really does.
Yeah.
But the way that they portrayed him in Secret Wars gave me all the idea of how bad he is. Reed was freaked
Yeah.
to have him just right there on a hill.
Yeah. You know what I thought about it every time they would show that is I was like, it's like a volcano that is active and that's destroyed the town a few times over the last couple decades.
Yep.
And it's just smoking. Because it's just you just look up there and you're just like, I don't like that.
The ground's rumbled a couple times.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's like, well,
Yeah, that's like the thing that went through my head every time we saw those Galactus shots for sure. But yeah, so for me though it was perfect. I just and they teased it perfectly in the trailers.
oh, I love that they
gave
didn't
us
show him. And the best scene with him too
yeah
was when they first meet him.
yeah.
We saw none of
We
that.
had no indication they would ever even leave Earth. We thought
Yeah.
everything was going to be on Earth, right? So they did a wonderful job with him for sure. I also want to go back one step because I have one quote from Feige on Franklin, which we've already talked about. So and then I do have one on Galactus too.
Okay.
Feige says, "Well, I think as always, look at the comics. There's great potential with Franklin. There's great potential in the other child." And I mean, really, the reason to do it first is that it had never been done before. There have been 4 movies, as you're well aware, and Franklin has never been a part of it. So as we are looking for ways to set it apart and do a definitive version of the Fantastic Four, we thought the notion of a child and his importance to come would be a great place to start and embrace. And that's certainly what Matt embraced. So there's the
Yeah.
Franklin quote I forgot to say earlier. And then I have a quote from Ralph Ineson on Galactus' future. He says there's a lot to explore in the lore, and he's a big character in the whole universe. But I would be one of the last people to know whether they're going to bring Galactus back. That's a decision for Kevin and the big boys. But I'd obviously love to come back and do more Galactus. So
he wants to come back and be the Galactus guy.
yeah, which that's
All right.
That's incredible.
You did great this time.
And when I said outside of the theater, I think too what's great is like they defeated him in a perfect kind of way to where you didn't take any shine off of him. He's still such a formidable threat that like
All they did was yeet him out of the universe, kind of thing.
to the other side of the universe. It's not even
Yeah.
out of the universe, right? It's like, hey, we were going to transport the planet to some unknown part of the galaxy that he won't know. Oh, well, we can't do that now, so let's send him through, and
Yep.
and he doesn't have his ship because it's here. So but in the post Secret Wars merged singular world that exists. A couple years from now, 5, 6, 7 years from now, when fucking Galactus shows up and Ralph Ineson's voice is booming, every audience member, the Fantastic Four, everyone fucking knows what that means.
Everyone's going to be like, "Oh shit, this is going to be the snap all over again."
Yeah, exactly.
I think you're right. I think they have set this up to be the second snap,
yeah,
where it's going to be oh no.
yeah, and maybe even wipe out a planet
Or
you know?
two.
Yeah, like it,
Or
of
three.
course not Earth, but like you never know. Like things like Nowhere, which like we've had some other planets introduced. Like, so yeah. So let's jump on over to
We still got to talk about the Silver Surfer.
Silver Surfer. That's what I was going for.
Okay.
Yeah. So Silver Surfer, Shala Ball. So that is a alternate Silver Surfer than the classic Norrin Rad that is the traditional quote unquote. Normally it's Norrin Rad sacrifices himself to save his love of his life, Shala Bal.
Yep.
So there's alternate versions where it flipped and she became the whatever. But they've completely removed that though, because it wasn't even like it was a love thing. Like she was doing it for her planet and her family. Like and she
her
was
daughter.
she's
is what it
fairly
looked
young.
like.
Yeah. So like it isn't like Romeo and Juliet. Like I'll sacrifice myself. Well, not that's Romeo and Juliet. But ultimately it's not that love thing. So I do think that on the other side of it, like what Silver Surfer is in the 616 might be Norrin Rad type thing. But I thought she did an incredible job. The actor did a great job. I really feel like she carried the emotion that you're never going to be able to get from Galactus.
Yeah.
Right? Like, because Galactus is not that. He's beyond all of that.
Right.
So, like, you need to bring, if you're going to have a good villain, you got to have something there, something beyond just a threat. And I think she brought that. The two of them is a 1-2 punch. She brought that emotional thing. It also expanded the universe and the world in an incredible way to now introduce this other planet, even if for a couple seconds. It's like, cool, now you're building the universe. It's not just Nowhere and what was the one where Captain Marvel is that Thanos destroys off screen?
Nova Prime. Nova.
Yeah. Like there's a few planets we've had now.
Yeah.
But we're still a pretty small galaxy, and of course we have other universes now.
We don't have 10 planets.
No, we don't.
I mean, we did before Ego, but then he went and blew himself up. So 9. So I guess.
So I loved her. I thought she was incredible. The special effects were off the fucking charts for her. It was perfect.
I loved the whole little like love chemistry with Johnny. I thought that was really cool.
Yeah.
And then I found out outside the theaters that that's a thing.
Yeah.
That Johnny and Silver Surfer have crossed paths before.
That's one way to say
it. They've played hide the surfboard a couple times, so
Oh yeah.
To see that was really cool, but then also I think that the emotion with her was unexpected and a pleasant surprise for me.
And that was Johnny's part to save the day.
Yeah.
He figured out all of that.
He got rid of her.
He got rid of her, but he also
turned her.
Figured out the way to turn her, which is ultimately the saving of the day, which he was about to sacrifice himself as well. So it's like, it was all wonderfully well done.
Yes,
I loved it all.
And then
her voice too.
That little speech. I herald his beginning.
Yeah.
I herald your end. I've had that in my head I had it in my head for like days afterwards.
Yeah.
Just like, hold your loved ones close.
Yeah.
I herald Galactus. And the next time we hear her voice, man, it's going to be...
Yeah.
Because I got a feeling that in their exile, Galactus is going to turn her back to his servant.
Yeah, there's always an ebb and flow with Silver Surfer for sure.
Yeah.
So I do have Matt Shackman talking John Malkovich's Red Ghost. I'm bringing this up here for a reason. So he was asked if Red Ghost was the original plan to take out the bridges, because that's been some speculation when they're building all the bridges to transport the planet, and then Silver Surfer comes in and wipes everything out, and you're down to just the one last one. So John Malkovich was cast as Red Guardian. We get reference to Red Guardian and his monkeys, which we see Reed fighting in that intro. But John Malkovich was cast as Red Guardian, and he was supposed to. He's essentially the alternate of Reed, but for Soviet Russia.
Oh, okay.
Super intelligent scientist. He hates it. Basically, think of like the space race with U.S. and Russia. Reed is America, he's the Russian side.
Okay.
Like that's Red Guardian. And and Matt said no, because the Thunderbolts end credit scene was also wait, that's the wrong quote. I must have pasted it wrong. Either way, basically what he said, he does confirm 100% yes, that was the plan. Red Guardian was going to be the one that would have destroyed all the bridges.
Oh.
But we decided that as we were going, it made a lot more sense to bring the Silver Surfer back in and let her be the part of that. But originally that would have been like kind of the thing where it's like, fuck you, Reed.
Yeah.
Like even if you're trying to save the planet, it can't be you. So he would have then wiped out the bridges across the globe. So kind of interesting, and that's kind of why he ended up getting cut, which is unfortunate. John Malkovich is a legend, so sucks to lose him. I guess that means we could show up somewhere else though as someone else potentially.
He could, yeah.
So Silver Surfer, just everything about her is it's just like Galactus.
fight-
Everything here was perfect.
The fight with her, which is really more
The
of
chase.
a chase,
Oh my god.
was so cool.
Yeah.
Like get her to go into a black hole and
Yeah.
and everything like that. I don't know how she got out. So
Yeah. Yeah, well, he even knew it too. Reed's like it'll hold her up for a month or whatever it was.
Yeah.
Like so it was whatever. It was crazy. Great stuff. Wonderful. Let's see if I got any other things to share. Shackman clarifying the Reed Richards comments, where he said he asked him to like be a father, be a scientist, but also lead the Avengers, and the whole fucking internet lost their mind. Last episode we covered it. I said that most likely he's talking about the comics. Well, I'm gonna pat myself
Go
on
ahead
the
and-
back here.
Go
So.
ahead and pat yourself on the back.
Yeah, Shackman was interviewed. He was asked about those comments. I was talking about Reed Richards in the comic books and how Reed Richards is sometimes a cerebral scientist, sometimes he's off leading the Avengers, sometimes he's a father, a husband, or whatever. So when I was talking about him in the comic books and how there's so many different aspects to that character. Somebody who is believably the smartest man in the universe, somebody who will jump into action and be believable as a leader, but also somebody who has that emotional connection to their family. And that's why I was drawn to Pedro. He's such an incredible actor. So what he does in Avengers Doomsday is not for me to talk about. Talk to Joe or Anthony. I was just talking about reading the comic books and how I figured who I could find best to play him.
Yeah,
So
we thought so.
it makes
You
the
were
most
right.
it makes the most sense. Like he's not, yeah, because he's not even part of the Avengers movies. Like
No.
so, that's not going to be part of his equation. He's just got to figure out though where it's like I don't want to be the one that helps make the final decision on this, but
Yeah.
that fumbles down the line when he was good for my movie, but he sucks the rest of the way, right? So, yeah, I had that quote. I think that is the rest of the quotes I've got. Yes, that is all I've got. So, one other thing I wanted to point out for sure.
Okay.
I don't have confirmation on this.
This is a tad
But I
suspicion.
may have seen an Easter egg in the Sue Storm death scene.
Okay.
Second time watching, I'm watching the background a lot.
Mm-hmm.
There's a sign blocked by a pole,
Okay.
and I only saw it the once because I wasn't paying attention to that spot. And the rest of the time, after I saw it the first time, they never shoot back to that angle where you can see like the whole family with her on the ground, and you can see the sign. It looked like it said Clark Kent. The sign.
Okay.
Would it be beyond Kevin Feige to know that a Superman movie's coming out a few weeks before,
Throw a little
and you have a
Easter
sign
egg in there.
for James Gunn, close friend of the Marvel Cinematic Universe, and
Made
like
several
it's blocked
movies.
in a way to where like it isn't. You can't. Even when I saw it at a glimpse, and the next time I see it, I'll be gonna be fucking laser focused.
Yeah.
But the sign is blocking it to where it's like I swear it says Clark, and then there's this street pole, and then you see ENT. That's what I remember seeing, to where it's like maybe it isn't even Clark Kent. But you telling
Oh,
me?
Sue's death scene?
Yeah.
Oh, I thought you said her birth.
No,
scene,
her
like
death
inside
scene.
the ship. Like
No,
okay.
no. Yeah, when she's on the
So a street sign.
when she's on the road, it's one of
Okay.
the signs on one of the stores. On that wider shot of the whole family,
Yeah.
like, and they're looking down at her. It's the furthest right on the screen you can get, and yeah, there's a fucking street sign, a street pole, so it's blocking it to where, like, again, that kind of gives them the plausible deniability where you're not actually putting Clark Kent on the screen,
Yeah.
but maybe Superman's just in my head. But I swear to God, that's a Clark Kent. And I'm like,
Okay.
would that not make sense? Feige is such a fucking nerd.
Oh, yeah.
Would he not be like, hey man, we're coming out a week or 2 weeks after fucking Superman.
Yeah.
James Gunn, the dude that made his fucking bones at the MCU,
Yep.
is leading this whole new thing. Let's give you a little thumbs up. So
Yeah.
that's gonna be the first thing I look for the next time I see it. But
Okay.
yeah, that was an interesting little nugget that I discovered.
right.
I also didn't hear any Doctor Doom theme, so I do think that post credit
Oh
or
yeah,
the
you were
credit
talking
thing.
about that yesterday. Yeah.
Yeah, so the credit thing that plays, there's a musical thing that says Alan Silvestri, Doctor Doom theme question mark.
It just says Doom question mark doesn't
or,
it?
either way, it's
Doom question mark.
So I 100% believe it's a riff on the outrage that the New Avengers post credit scene was quote unquote spoiled by the fact that they actually credit Michael Giacchino's Fantastic Four theme when you get to that music section.
Yeah.
And people are like, I didn't hear a Fantastic Four theme. I guess we know what the post credit scene is. I would say if you're bitching about that, go fuck yourself. Like,
It was 5 seconds before the scene.
It's not like you read this 3 months before. Like, come on, man. But I'm just
it's not the death of Qui-Gon.
yeah, Qui-Gon's noble end.
Yeah, Qui-Gon's noble end.
2 months before the movie.
Yeah,
came
exactly.
out. But no. So I do think that was like 100%. They threw that in there as a poke at the audience that were bitching about that
Yeah.
spoiler, because then it's like, oh my god, we're gonna see Doom again. and then we don't. So
Yeah.
it's the cartoon, which I actually didn't stick for the second time I walked out. I'm like, I know what that. It took me a minute through the movie though. I was like, what the fuck was the second scene again? I'm like, I'm pretty sure the Doom scene was the first one.
Watch the theme for the cartoon, the little jingle they play in there. That's Doom's theme.
Mate,
You watch.
not with Alan Silvestri. Dude. I think it's a troll, which. All hail Feige for that. If it
All
is,
hail Kevin
'cause
Feige,
it's
in God we trust.
That is a great fucking troll if it's there for that. So I can't wait for someone to ask him on that. So no, overall I did love this movie. Yeah, this was incredible. This is everything I wanted it to be for the most part. My slight complaint: I wish it were longer. I kind of have a feeling that they're almost overreacting to like people bitching about certain things, and I feel like this could have been 15 minutes longer and it would have been fine. Like this movie is under 2 hours long.
What would you have needed?
I think you could have fleshed out, I mean, any element of the family a little bit more. I mean, I feel like there's just a little bit more breathing you could have done with any. Not to say that anything felt shortchanged, but it's kind of one of those things like the Dark Tower movie. If you told me if you could have added 15 more minutes in there and just fleshed a few things out a little bit more, let it breathe more, would that not have been just that much better? It just, sometimes you just feel it where it's like someone higher up is just like, no, we got to keep it at this runtime.
Yeah.
And it just, I'm not saying like that it suffered, but I just wonder if there's a little bit more you could have just added in here and there to like Malkovich. I mean, I see where that came from though, is they wanted the Silver Surfer to come back and rather than introducing a secondary threat that's doing it. I mean, there's any number of things you could have done for sure. Give me a little bit more of Ben and Natasha Lyonne. You know, like I don't know. There's some things you could have done, I think, for sure. And again, it's a minor critique, but overall, I love this movie. I thought it was incredible. I've seen it twice now.
Yeah.
Can't wait to add it to my collection and have it part of the
rotation.
The rotation. It's an MCU fucking Fantastic Four movie. So
Yeah.
and Galactus is incredible. Silver Surfer is incredible. The family was done perfect. I love
That
it.
scene with Sue with the speech. We're gonna do this as a family. It's like,
Yeah, and turn the whole crowd. I loved it.
It was
And
so good.
Yeah, it's perfect.
and that makes sense that she's the one that does it. It's not Reed. It's not Ben. It's not Johnny.
Yeah.
You know. But I will say, I freaking loved the Johnny sunscreen ad. That was one of the things.
The copper tone.
Yeah, that was so fucking funny.
Yeah.
I will say, I did talk about this outside of the theater. There was the one moment where it completely broke me and took me out of the freaking movie is when Ben just freaking yeets Franklin over to Reed. I get it. They're in space. That's
what you
fun.
do.
That's a baby. That's a newborn baby. That baby was just born. You don't ever yeet a baby.
Sure you do.
No.
Yeah, it's not gonna. What's gonna happen? Is he gonna fall?
No. What if the ship gets hit by the Silver Surfer? What if, like you don't let go of the kid? Like, he's way too important.
Well,
you don't let him go.
Again, in space, though, you don't have like that jostling you'd have in a car with gravity.
Yeah.
Even if they hit the ship again, it's like, hey, the ship moves around it while he's just floating in space. Like, I think it's
People
fine.
move when things get hit in space.
It's like, no, not without gravity, man. Like, even if the ship shifted, like the baby's gonna be floating there. Like the baby's not tied to the ship.
Because, sir, physics. If you're here and the ship's going this way, and then suddenly the ship goes this way, you go to that wall.
Well, yeah,
that's what happens.
But he's at the center of the ship, and it's not like the Silver Surfer's going to knock the fucking ship 30 yards.
Did you see how powerful she was? She knocked Galactus on his ass.
With her putting the hand through the stomach too. That was
so cool.
That was cool.
I loved the shot of them being like, Sue, make us invisible. She makes us invisible.
Yeah.
And then they get scanned, and you see the scanner whoop, whoop, down to her belly. And it's like,
yeah.
Oh, that was
Yeah.
so ominous. I could not imagine that being like being pregnant and then having that on your stomach, just like,
Yeah.
oh, get it off.
Yeah. Is it a spider? Get it off. And then my final thing I wanted to say, I've now seen both twice. I love both movies.
Yep.
Superman's top for me.
Yeah.
Of the two. It just is. That movie was just the perfection that we needed, especially in this time in the world. Like it was everything I needed. So, and I'm a big Superman fan. So
You're also a huge Fantastic Four fan.
Yeah, but I will admit my biases. But I do think that both are wonderful. This is not a shot at the movie at all. It's just that if I have to compare the two and one's better than the other, for me, the Superman I prefer of the two movies. If I had them both on disc right now, and once you were done here and you leave, and I'm putting one on, I would throw Superman on at this moment.
Yeah.
Right now. Not to say that there wouldn't be another time where I'd be like, I want to see Galactus
I'm
again.
not gonna lie. Fantastic Four is out, and I had a day off this week where I took my family and we went to the amusement park here in Utah, and my wife was only able to get half a day off. I considered taking my daughter to a movie. And if I had, we ended up being too tired and sunburned and everything like that to go. If I had, it would have been Superman.
Yeah.
It wouldn't have been Fantastic Four.
It's just-
it would have been Superman.
God, it's such a good movie, man. Gunn he's onto something. I love it.
In Gun we trust.
Indeed. So next time, unless you have any other final thought, well, first of all, if you want to email the show, you can email at peter@geekeryabides.com or tadd, T-A-D-D, at geekeryabides.com. And then next time on Geekery Abides,
I don't remember what it is. Is
Harry,
it my episode?
Harry Potter 3, yeah.
Oh, Prisoner of Azkaban. Woo!
Yeah, which I've got a reputation. Osmosis, I think I said this the first episode.
Mhm.
I feel like this is one that's very well loved by people. So
A lot of people like it. I will bite my tongue.
yeah, I want to say my barber said that she didn't like it as much until she read the. I don't remember. There was one, either third or the fourth one, where she was like not as into it, but the book helped. After she read the book, it helped her like it more, but she still had issues with it. But she didn't give me any more. She just was very vague about it. So
She's been good about not spoiling stuff.
Yeah,
so
for sure.
I'm gonna bite my tongue. I'm gonna bide my time.
and I will say, I'm excited.
Yeah,
Yeah.
good.
It's been kind of tough, like being beholden to this schedule to watching something, because usually watch something, if you like it, you want to just go, right?
Yeah.
But here we are, and I'm going to end the year on the 5th movie, I think. So,
I think that's where we're at.
and the YouTube's is all updated, so the schedule's all the way out. You have one last episode that's not filled in yet, but beyond that, everything
I've
is
been brainstorming that episode. And I'm trying to.
It's
think
fine.
of
I'm not
something.
trying to rush you. I'm just saying that I've updated because there was a couple things that moved. There was one Harry Potter that was later. You moved it earlier, and then you inserted another one. So
Yeah.
that's all updated now. So the schedule on the YouTube right now, as this episode is being
I might,
is done, that schedule is 100% correct. Of course, we always call the right to Audible if
Yep.
Audibles are needed. So
I wonder if we could put Incredibles on there, because the fact that you haven't seen the best Fantastic Four film of all time.
forcing me into a kids movie. What?
I
the
mean,
hell.
It's a superhero movie. First off, thank you.
It's a Simpsons guy that's behind it too, so I at least will give some credit there. Brad
It
Bird is
you own it, don't you?
probably.
I think you do own it, if I remember right. I've talked to you about it, and then you haven't watched it. And you're like, yeah, I've never seen that. I'm like, you fucking own it. No, you don't own it. Okay, good.
There is a kids
I will say
movie.
there was a couple Pixar movies that I bought at one point on.
No, you do own it. It's right there, you dumbass. Sorry,
Hey,
wrong,
you're
wrong one.
you're the one that
You
was saying
asshole.
I didn't have it over there, so you're the
do.
dumbass here.
No, that's true. I am
it
the
is.
dumbass.
It is Dumas.
Have you seen Monsters Inc? You own Monsters Inc.
Oh,
too.
yeah. Seen
You've
that
seen
one.
Monsters Inc.
Yeah.
But you haven't seen Incredibles.
Yeah, I always reference the Slug Lady. Always watching.
That doesn't mean you've seen it. I mean, she's a meme, sir.
Oh, I've been referencing that long before memes existed, sir.
Okay.
Yeah, no, I've seen Toy Story. Eventually, I got around to seeing Toy Stories 2 and 3. I never gave those a chance because in the old days, Disney sequels all sucked. So I've seen the 3 Toy Stories. The 4th one's stupid. I've watched Bug's Life, or is it Ants? Which one's the Pixar?
Bug's Life.
I've seen them both, so I've seen
Ants
that.
is DreamWorks, Bug's Life is Pixar.
And then I've seen Monsters Inc., and I think that's where I cut it off.
And then The
Right.
Incredibles is right after that, which is one of the greatest Pixar films. So
Yeah.
it's the best Fantastic Four film ever.
Yeah, I don't know about that now. We got Galactus here. So, so I'm not rushing you on at all, but I just want to let everyone know that the schedule is up to date. We also have 2 more episodes this month. This is a
Yes.
3-episode month. So, check the schedule. We will be back in a fortnight, as always.
Subscribe, rate, and review.
Yeah, subscribe,
Like
rate,
the
and
bell.
review for sure. I will
Ring the bell.
Yeah, ring the bell for notifications for sure.
All that stuff.
All the fun stuff that YouTube makes you say, or they punch Baby Yoda behind me. So,
Or they punch Baby Franklin.
I don't know if I'd do that.
I don't know if I would do
That's
it, yeah.
very unwise. But I will sign off as I always do by saying, "Let your geek flag fly high. Love what you love, and to hell with anyone that says anything about guilty pleasures. It's nonsense."
It's clobbering time.
I love that he said it too.
I know.
And right after that,
Right
from the
after- I'm not
trailer,
saying it.
yeah, I knew he would,
Yes.
but like the fact it was right after
Right
that
there.
was. I also love the beard. Forgot to mention that.
Oh, yeah, the beard was
the
awesome.
beard, and that was even to the brotherly thing.
Yeah,
like,
yeah, because
that
Johnny's
was-
like, it looks good. He's like, really? I
yeah.
love that.
And he carried
I love
it. He
that.
carried it the rest of the movie.
Yeah.
So yeah, I love that. So, all right, guys, we will see you next time.
Bye, everyone.